Whoa, it's the CU
Podcast. We're still here.
Yep.
I'm not sure why.
Nope.
5 years of the completely unnecessary podcast.
5 years is a long time.
It's a long time. Thanks for being with us. Did you hear that, Ian? Did you hear that DuckTales theme I put in there? You heard that.
Oh, I heard it.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, I hear it now.
I edit this in real time, Ian. It doesn't take me hours after each one. Guys, this is the 5th anniversary of the CU podcast. The first one was I think it was the 30th of August 2013. 29th or 30th. Look it up. I don't know. Listen to it. We talked about the 2DS coming out.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck announced as Sad Batman.
Yep.
I think that was it. There might have been a third topic.
I think there was one other topic. I just don't recall what it was.
When we recorded in my bedroom
Mm-hmm.
back at the condo, the crappy condo, not Castle Country. And then we switched to the game room. I don't know why we did it originally in the probably because the whole desktop thing, and
Because it wasn't really planned.
it was planned. We said we're going to do it this day. We're going to try it out. But here we are. We'll touch upon memories a bit further. We would be remiss if we didn't mention the unfortunate shooting in Jacksonville, Florida, the past weekend at the Madden tournament. At this point, it's unfortunate to say that these mass shootings are becoming so commonplace that it's not a total shock it happened, but being that it's happened in the gaming realm, which we are a part of, which we speak about, we felt we had to at least mention it because it's now affecting directly something that we would actually talk about in the podcast in this realm. And there are solutions out there, and I hope that politicians have the will to try to come to at least compromises to sort of address these issues, both in gun control legislation and mental health. It's not one or the other, it's both. And we have to do better as society in order to reach some sort of, at least attempt solutions to sort of quell this, what seems like an increasing storm of these shootings. And until we at least try to do that, we'll talking about these almost every week they're happening.
It's a two-pronged attack. A lot of people want to throw all the blame on mental health, and yes, we do need to end the stigma against talking about mental health and getting treatment for people who need it.
And this person definitely needed treatment from reports.
Right, it said they did. And it looks like some treatment was attempted, but it looks like the father perhaps was not as into it as perhaps they should have been. But we also, I think, as a nation, need to realize that in some ways we need gun control, and his guns were legally obtained. That is true. That does not mean that there needs to be some restrictions, and legally obtained does not always... Legally obtained is legally obtained.
Well, Florida has some of the most lax laws in the nation.
I think that was from Baltimore.
Is that when you got them?
But it doesn't... That doesn't mean that the laws don't need to be tighter.
Sure.
In regards.
There's attempts you can make either way to try to do something to see if it has an effect.
Right. At this point, we can't not try.
Try something. And if it doesn't work, you can rescind them. But you got to try something, I think, at some point.
So yeah.
That's all I'll say. It's horrific, obviously. EA seems like they're canceling future Madden tournaments to try to tighten up security when it comes to these events. And yeah, so it's not a total shock it happened. It's just sort of, since it's in the gaming realm, it's getting a ton more exposure than probably even shooting would have. So there you have it, Ian. A tough way to start the 5th anniversary podcast.
Yeah.
But we've had some good memories along the way during the CU podcast, the 5 years. We've had our...
We'll get to those.
We'll have our ups and downs. We have our memories coming up a bit later. But we have other stuff going on. We have a new T-shirt.
We do.
We do. It's going to be somewhere over here. It's actually that symbol. It's that symbol, but now there's a shirt over there in the editing. You can see the shirt, Ian.
Yes.
Go to Teespring, 2 E's, teespring.com/CU shirt. We've done a couple of t-shirts in the past. It's been a couple of years. We've done the original podcast logo, which you forgot existed when I talked to you.
I did.
Yeah, we had another one. This one's only a year old. And we also had the Danny Sullivan t-shirt, which I never got a freaking shirt of. But go to teespring.com/cu shirt. It's a limited campaign. It'll be around for another couple of weeks there. Check it out. Get a nice shirt. Support the podcast. Support Ian's Burrito Habit. Why not?
Yeah.
We also have a certain Super Nintendo guidebook you can pre-order at ultimatesnes.com. So there's the books there. You can see the 2 different covers. You can do that. There'll be a Kickstarter in the fall. And I will be at a few conventions, Ian. I'll be in Jersey. I'll be in Connecticut first, Retro World Expo, then Jersey in the middle of the month at a video game con, and at the end of the month at Retropalooza in Arlington, my 4th or 5th one. So check out those websites, retroworldexpo.com.
Well, the cat's away, the mice will play.
You're going to use Castle Contra, use that nice grill you see out back? You might.
Yeah.
It's 40-inch grill, Ian.
That's what I'm going to do.
Serious grill. It's a infrared back burner on that sucker. You can
baby.
do some veggies on that, too. And there's a rotisserie. Sorry, getting off topic. But anyway, that's what's going on. Again, thanks for supporting us. And thanks for Ian for being a part of this journey.
I appreciate Pat being a part of this podcast.
Why'd you say it so snidely and unauthentically?
Because it sounds funny when I thank you for being a part of my podcast.
Okay. Ian,
Pat.
We're sort of in a golden renaissance of classic games having sequels being made for a newer generation. And a beat 'em up dredged from the annals of history has been announced. A sequel, Ian.
Yes. So is beat 'em ups, so you know how people say that stupid word shmups? Would a beat 'em up be, because that's a shoot 'em up, would a beat 'em up be a bum ups?
No, it's just a beat 'em up.
A bum ups? Then why do people say shmup?
Because they're dumb, and they should never say shmup. It's a shooter, damn it.
It is. I mean, just stop. So Streets of Rage 4 has been announced. .emu.mu is behind it, and people have been wanting Streets of Rage 4 for a while.
Have they?
Yeah. I mean, it was rumored on the Dreamcast, but it never happened. And then I remember when Atlas got the rights to some of the Sega titles. I know Streets of Rage was one that came up. I think we might have even talked about it on this here podcast somewhere between 5 years ago and now.
somewhere in the first 5 years.
Somewhere in there.
We have to have an appendix for all the podcasts with things we discuss.
Yes.
How many times Ranch Dressing has come up? How many times Danny Sullivan's come up? See episodes 1, 8, 10, 11, all of them.
The Podpendix.
Yes, the Podpendix.
The Podpendix.
The CU Podpendix.
So anyways, the trailer has come out, and it is definitely going to be a 2D beat 'em up.
We've had a semi-renaissance of beat 'em ups. It was sort of a dead genre for a good probably 10, 15-year span where there wasn't many being made across the consoles. And now when you have like things like the Xbox Live Arcade come back and they start re-releasing the classic arcade ones, I think that sort of helped the interest get back to where it might have been.
Sure. I mean, we've had, there was Double Dragon Neon, we had Double Dragon 4.
The new Turtles game that all the YouTubers were promoting a few years ago that was trash on the Xbox.
Oh,
on 360.
There was that. There was the Dave & Buster's. I think it's the exclusive Ninja Turtles beat 'em up.
Oh, there's another one. Okay.
The one that was at Game On Expo.
Okay.
Then there was the really popular Scott Pilgrim vs. the World beat 'em up.
That's right.
It's fantastic, and now it's...
So it's been the past like 7, 8 years they've sort of come back.
Yeah, there's a Power Rangers one. Anyways, all sorts of good stuff. So it seems probably ripe for Streets of Rage to come back. The trailer shows that Axel is looking a little aged.
I don't know about age. He's got a little Pat Contry beard gristle going on.
He's a little scruffy. He looks like... Terry Bogard in Garo Mark of the Wolves.
That happened.
Got like 10 years added to him.
That happened in the Tekken series with martial law. Remember, he came back with the beard.
Yes.
He
still has the sneakers though.
He still got the white high tops working for
Yeah, I don't know if he's got a
LA Knights or whatever. I don't know what they are.
BK Knights.
BK, was it LA Knights?
It was
BK
it was
Knights.
LA Gear and BK.
I confused two of them.
It was British Knights and LA Gear.
Below the Nike Reebok tier is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
LA Gear. Yeah, LA Gear. Are they still around LA Gear? Anyway.
Probably not. Yeah, I don't know if he's got a bootlegger or if he just bought as much stock.
We don't know if this takes place in the late 90s. We don't know if LA Gear is still kicking back then.
True.
I don't think he's 20 years age because the other protagonist
Blaze,
she's looking just as good.
Yeah, it's true. She doesn't look much older.
She's hitting the squat machine. She's looking just as good.
She's still got them hoop earrings too. So the gameplay looks very much the same.
It's got a cartoony style, which is nice.
I gotta say that's kind of my one thing though. I don't particularly love the art style. You
would prefer sprites, pure sprites.
I don't know that I would have. I don't know what I would have preferred.
Then you have no realm of this.
I have to see more. I guess I have to see how it plays.
Yeah, this is a teaser trailer.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like you get like 15 seconds of gameplay at most, and then really cool animation.
I like the trailer animation. I just don't know if I necessarily like how the
Who's Snake Woman at the end there?
the gameplay looks. I don't know. She appears new, but she also looks pretty rad. I like her snake hands. Or her, I don't know.
So I was never really big into the Streets of Rage series because I didn't have a Genesis. My friends had. I played 1 and 2. I always commented that we beat the games like in 20 minutes. They were quick. I remember as a kid.
They're fun. Quick.
I always liked Final Fight better. I always liked a certain Double Dragon series a little bit slightly better.
Oh, you're gross.
Just what I was used to. Not that these were bad games. I just wasn't used to. I always thought that this was just a Final Fight sort of, not knockoff, but derivative of it. Even though there was some cool 2-player combos and things like that in the games. So if there's an audience for this, that's great. That's fantastic.
I definitely want to try it. I'm not going to discount this until I play it.
Kind of disappointed though. There's only 2 playable characters unless they announce more because the other, I think they added 2 or 3 more characters.
There was, depending on which version you play, there's usually 3 characters. So yeah, I'm hoping that they show more characters here.
Sure.
But yeah, part 1 and 2 were a lot of fun. 3, the US version specifically, was brutally hard. They made it was hard. They made it way too
What's with 3s? Double Dragon 3 was too hard. What's with the 3s?
When they brought it to the US, they made part 3 ridiculously hard. The Japanese version's a lot more fair.
Same with Double Dragon.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
So, but it had great music. It's still a pretty decent game. So we'll see how this is.
This is Lizard Cube and Guard Crush Games doing the development.
Yeah, and .emu.
Yeah, and there was
publishing.
What was that? What was that brawler? It came out, the indie one. It came out last year. The Russia one. The hell was it called? You don't. What the fuck?
Oh, I have that one too. Russia Bleeds, Mother Russia Bleeds.
Mother Russia Bleeds, is that it?
Something like that.
Yeah, Mother Russia Bleeds. So there has been a renaissance even in the
Oh,
indie
yeah, I definitely did not name all the beat-em-ups. Fucking Shaq Fu 2 is a beat-em-up, and holy shit is that game miserable.
Is it just as miserable as the first one?
It's a different type of game, and it's bad. It starts off with Chinese laundry jokes.
Does it really?
Yes.
It's that bad?
It's that bad.
It's Shaq. He's a goofball. He's a corny goofball.
I don't think he had anything to really do with it.
You think so? Are you sure about that?
I got it for free because I had bought their NBA Playgrounds at launch because I like basketball and basketball games. And so I got it for free. I didn't know why, and I downloaded it. And it's one of the only games I've ever deleted off a system after downloading it. Wow. I was like, yeah, I'm never going back to this.
I just think it's interesting because I think it started with, I used to like Scott Pilgrim. It probably started with the Xbox Live Arcade showing off some of the ones from the 90s, like the X-Men one gets re-released, things like that. And now here we are. The Takeover came out. Was that last year or early this year? And that was published by Dangan. Matt McMuscles from Super Best Friends Play was involved somehow.
Yeah, I believe James has I think that's the one that he's got music in. James has music in that.
So that's interesting because that's almost like a pure mashup of Streets of Rage and Final Fight when you look at this art style and how the characters look.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if these companies are seeing it's like, wow, this is a new genre, or a genre rebirth or revival, and we have these properties laying around. We should be doing this. That's probably the impetus for this. They see these games coming out that are heavily inspired by their properties. Of course, Capcom doesn't give a shit. They have Final Fight laying around. They'll just keep it laying around forever and just put fucking their characters in Street Fighter games when they can easily put out a brawler like in less than a year. But Yeah, I think it's good. It's always good to have a genre revival.
Yes.
And the beat 'em ups were always probably one of my favorite genres from the 90s, when they were obviously the arcades helped that heavily. Like, titles like AVP that we always talk about. It was a shame that never had a console release. The Super Nintendo one doesn't count. That was a different version. I talk about it in a certain
Different
Super Nintendo
game
guide.
entirely.
Different game entirely. And it actually came out before the arcade game. So you can't totally blame those devs, but that's not a good game. But anyway, so yeah, so when is this going to be coming out? We know yet?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so.
It's just an early tease, so I'm going to guess next year on that. Streets of Rage 4 with a beard. All right, so speaking of some of the best brawlers ever,
Speaking of...
Double Dragon.
Yeah, no.
Double Dragon, one of the seminal
Vesicles?
games in the genre, along with Final Fight. Double Dragon. There was, besides the Double Dragon 4 that came out, was that last year?
That's a pretty good one, actually. I like
With
that.
8-bit graphic styling.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Good
was
game.
interesting that they kept that graphic style, that 16 bits, all the rage. We have a bunch. We're in the environment now where companies are putting out licensed remakes of games on cartridge.
Licensed reproductions, like actual, like...
reproduction.
Cha.
Pacha, like
Pacha, here it is.
Pacha.
I'm making a hand motion for those of you listening to audio.
So-
I'm making a motion that signifies a physical object.
And you're holding there a small hutch football or something like that.
A sandwich.
A sandwich? That's
A submarine.
That's a hoagie.
A hoagie.
So I Am 8-Bit did the Street Fighter 2 30th anniversary cartridge release.
They're doing the...
Then they did the Mega Man X and Mega Man 2. They've done those. I don't think those have done as well from what I hear in terms of sales. But anyway, they've done them. And it's nice to have these come out. But when you come out with these, you got to do these right. You have to do these cartridges right so that both collectors enjoy them, plus the retro game enthusiasts actually playing them. It's a weird combo market. So this company called Retroism, which I never even heard about until this came up, they did a re-release of Return of Double Dragon, which is the Japanese version of Super Double Dragon. There's, I think, a couple little extra little levels, but it's like 95% the same game. So they come out here.
Extra levels is not 95% the same. That's big difference. That's like saying that...
Why do you have to argue?
Because
even on this podcast, you have to argue that that's what you have to argue about.
I'm just going to say, you would not call Final Fight 95% the same.
Final Fight versus what?
Final Fight, the arcade version. It's missing a whole level. You would not call that 95% the same.
No, I would call it 95% the same.
You're wrong.
Not the Super Nintendo, but the Super Nintendo version, you don't have 2 players, so then it wouldn't be because of that. Anyway, the classic Ian derails the topic before it gets started comment.
That's how it goes, man.
The Return of Double Dragon comes out on a red cartridge, and this is officially licensed. Technos Japan's involved, and then people get the cartridge, Ian, and guess what?
It plays perfectly.
Yes, it does. So we're done with the topic.
That's
no,
it.
It doesn't work on most original Super Nintendo consoles.
Any, from what I've seen, none. Just works on aftermarket consoles. Not a single. It doesn't. I haven't seen. There's reviews. I haven't seen a single review state that it works on an actual Super.
2 stars according to a certain Amazon webpage. 36 customer reviews here. 1 star. Verified purchase, not compatible with the original and Super Nintendo. This was blatant false advertising. Nowhere prior to release was it mentioned that this will not work with original Super Nintendo hardware. Only now in small print on their website does it mention this. Do not buy anything from this company. Totally bogus. Made as cheap as possible. This is an awful release quality-wise from Mark P. The game itself is just fine if you can even get it working, but the box, label, and cart are very cheap. The cheapness doesn't stop there, as the game PCP isn't designed well, and they couldn't even bother to bevel the PCP so that will also put extra stress on the cartridge connector. The icing on the cake is Amazon loves to ship games like these in special editions and bubble mailers, so they get just the right amount of box damage for you to enjoy when it arrives. So the thing about that is that I believe when you do Amazon fulfillment, you are supposed to ship them already shipped in your mailer.
Right.
So that's actually
not Amazon.
Amazon's not taking the item off the shelf and putting it in the package. They're just taking the item off the shelf already prepackaged and then mailing it out. So I don't think that's actually on Amazon there. 1 star from Larry Fisher. Do not buy if intending to use on Super Nintendo. Won't be purchasing from
don't buy the Super Nintendo cartridge if you'd like to use it on a Super.
Won't be purchasing from this company again. Scammers. Major fail. Piece of junk. Claims Super Nintendo console compatible, does not even work in an authentic NES console. Works in aftermarket consoles. Is that like a voltage issue, you think?
Oh, I don't know, but here it is. I found one with 3 stars.
Oh.
Rough release, solid game. It has been widely reported that this game does not work with original, authentic SNES consoles. This is not altogether true, as it works on mine. I'm not sure if the difference is in SNES board revisions, lockout chips, blah, blah, blah. Mine is the first North American board version. I'd encourage others to find their SNES board version and update their reviews. No, that's not on them.
No, that's not on them.
That's
First of
not
all,
on them.
I've actually read the opposite. I've read that it was the original Super Nintendo's that it doesn't work on at all, and that's like the majority of the Super Nintendo's
Right.
that came out. The
Yeah.
Mini, I think it might work, but I don't know.
Update your reviews. No.
No. Yeah,
No.
I gotta go to my local Luna Video Games 2 locations in Chula Vista and El Cajon and find and say, hey, let's try this fucking shitty aftermarket
Can you open
game.
my Super
Yeah.
Nintendo for me so I can find
No,
my board
no.
revision and then update
That's-
my Amazon review?
That's not how it
Because I
works.
might be doing some damage to this company that can't even bevel the edges of their circuit board.
That'd be like printing out a PS3 game. You gotta go to the swap meet to find the certain serial number revision that works on that, like trying to find the one with the proper emulator on there. That's terrible. So how does this happen? They get these cards. They must have tested a batch of these. You don't just test one. You randomly probably pick out like 30 of these and test them, right? Either they didn't test them on an original hardware, or they didn't care. That's the only thing I can think of. Or they didn't have a Super Nintendo laying around. Maybe it works on a Super Famicom and not a Super Nintendo. Does it work on a Super Famicom?
No, I mean, you wouldn't be able to know because you wouldn't fit the cartridge inside.
You can't fit a Super Nintendo game in a Super Famicom?
No.
I thought there's no things in it. It's the
But
opposite.
you can't. Well, I mean, if you took the top off, you could, but it doesn't fit. It just doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit that
It doesn't
shape.
fit.
It doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit.
So then, okay.
So, anyways,
I'm trying to think of
it's the customer's fault.
It's a customer's fault.
For not, who is this guy doing this review? Who does he think he is?
There's a 4-star review.
Oh no!
Verified purchase. We'll work on an early SNES with coaxing. Come on, please work, Super Nintendo. Oh, come on. I took you for ice cream last week. I'll be good to you, baby. I wrote a negative review because I could not get
That
the game
sounds
to boot up.
creepy.
I thought the SNES lockout chip was at fault. Decided to try cleaning it with Kaeg Deoxit electric contact cleaner and try one more time before returning. And it worked on my first-gen Super Nintendo perfectly. So deleted the old review and reposting. 5 stars for the game, but knocked down a bit for possible compatibility issues. Possible compatibility issues? Everyone's saying there's compatibility issues. I can say that you can get it to work perfectly on an early Super Nintendo, and it is an awesome game. Better than the US Super Double Dragon by a long shot, but depending on if it needs cleaning... Why would it depend on the cleaning of your console, though?
And all this is a good pack. I just... Okay, never mind. I can't do this anymore. The apologists here are really just trying to deal with the fact that, they were separated from $50.
This is like retro VGS apologists.
It's bad. It's bad. And I just want to point out that the box cover is great. Definitely looks like they just went with some bold Arial in italics. It's real awful.
One is feels like playing the lottery. It did not work on my Super Nintendo consoles, a 2-chip, 1-chip, and Junior. So yeah, I think the original Super Nintendo had 2 video chips, and then went to a 1-chip.
Yeah.
2 days later, Retroism posted a disclaimer on their website about it not being guaranteed to work on original hardware, contrary to what the box says. My replacement copy arrived today. Much to my surprise, it works fine on all 3 consoles. So it appears to be a quality control issue at this point, which makes Retroism's response to this very odd indeed. So they got to recall all of these. They want to make this right.
I mean,
they got to apologize. They got to recall. Because so either it sounds like with some people saying it works on their early systems, either like 10% of them work, or you have a weird situation where for some reason you clean it with the electro console cleaner, it works. I'm thinking that it just most of these didn't work. They gotta go back to their manufacturer, bitch in mode, and get a replacement, or just eat up the cost. Because now, if I'm a customer and this happens to me, I'm never ordering a product again from them in theory.
No.
Why would I? If there's no quality control going on. And this was their response. Another review. Wait, it works? Wait, what? I guess they're surprised that it works. This is bad. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with Retroism before. It looks like they have other physical releases on their site. Retroism is a haven for timeless games.
Oh.
So they have like Ease 8 on there. Fast Beat Loop Racer GT. That's a game. And yeah. So
I'll show you a fast beat loop.
Oh, it looks like there's not a lot. These aren't all physical releases. Maybe they're just publishing some of this. No, they're physical releases. I can't tell. All I know is this: the retro 16-bit system section. It's not off to a great start with this being their. They've also did Unholy Night as well. So this is their second release, and they're now doing Technos Japan Classic imports. So you can get one of the Kinnikuin games. Looks like the first River City game for the Super Famicom. That's advertised. So they're dabbling in this with Technos products.
Dibble dabble.
I don't know if Technos Japan is caring that much about who they give their license out to. They wouldn't be pleased with this, though, I don't think.
All right. Well,
speaking of Super Nintendo's, Ian.
Speaking of, we really got this all chained together nicely. It's like we got a fucking combo.
5 years. 5 years to get it done.
5 years to get this combo rolling. So, anyways, here's the thing: use original cartridges on your SNES Mini. You can do this with the classic 2 Magic attachment. 2 Magic. This is a device that you hook up to your SNES Mini, and it will allow you to play your Super Nintendo cartridges
or Super Famicom
cartridges using your Super Nintendo Mini. And this is kind of neat.
So we are having a digital, modern, all-in-one with an attachment for the old 30-year-old software.
Correct.
This could be the first time that we've seen something like this, I think.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, it's interesting. And what's even more curious about it is it will actually let you rip the ROMs directly to the system.
So this is almost this is sort of what the Retron 5 did. You know, it was a temporary rip of the ROM that you played. This is ripping it to the hardware, but you can then save it to the memory?
Exactly.
Okay.
And it also allows you to just put ROMs entirely on there. It has a USB drive. It has a USB port, so you can just take ROMs and...
So instead of hacking, this will be an easier way to do it.
Right. And from what I've heard, the hacking is easy, but I actually have never done it, so I don't know.
So my question would be, would this alter the menu to include how when you hack it, you put the menu looks exactly the same as Nintendo's GUI interface? If that's the case, that'd be smart. If it's just like a sort of like a flash cart list, that's less appeal to me, but it's still cool.
No, there does appear to be some sort of menu system in play here.
Here you go. Here's a video.
Yep.
Good thing I'm prepared in the 5th anniversary podcast.
Oh, yeah. How to set up. So it's...
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's Super Scope. You can do folders. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
So it's interesting to me that this exists because people do. I mean, they always say, one of the things that they, wish was that it would play the original cartridges. Now you can, and you can do so to the point where you would then again not need them. I wonder how well this will sell, being that you can just hack it and dump everything to it.
And you can use other emulators. So if you get the Super Nintendo one, you could. It's compatible with. It's also compatible with the NES Classic Mini. Interesting. So while I'm looking at this video, there's a N64 icon there. So I'm guessing that means you can somehow load up an N64 emulator. If you load the ROMs on, it would play it. Is that what that means?
I wonder. Well, potentially. I wonder what the compatibility would be though.
Now, if you can use your own, compatibility would be whatever emulator you throw on there.
Sure.
You're not using whatever. I don't think Nintendo has their own proprietary N64 emulator ready to go.
True.
But you're going to be using obviously their NES and Super Nintendo ones on that. So it's going to be $59.95. So you're almost doubling the cost. I think that's reasonable. That's not bad because you're getting a cartridge slot there too. If you just want to do one game on your TV, your modern TV, this could be your nice sort of in between solution. You don't want to hack it. You want to use your original carts. People were clamoring for that for the NES. They're like, well, why is there no cartridge slot? Because it would make sense for Nintendo to do it. Right. And no one would have bought it for $150 with it, or a lot less people would. So here you go. This is the sort of in between you have here. So
yeah, I think this is.
I wonder if this is flash cart compatible. Probably not, but
that to me would almost
just defeat the purpose.
Defeat the purpose.
It'd be like cheating. Yeah. Get the real card off your shelf, asshole. I mean, get the Fire Pro X card off your shelf.
There's a USB drive.
Yes, I get it. and traditionally, the ROM rippers, like on the Retron 5, aren't compatible with flash cards. I think that they were hacked to do that, but it's looking for a ROM. It's not looking for a menu to pull from.
Right.
So, all right, I'm in.
I think it's very cool, and honestly, that might be something that I would look into purchasing.
I mean, especially if you can just, you're going to make this your all-in-one machine. You put your NES ROMs on there and play them. Why not? Because now there's no space issue. There's no memory issue with what's built into the console itself.
How much space does the?
I believe people are going to know. I believe it's somewhere like 600 to 700 meg, something like that. So you can get every NES game, but you're not getting the Super Nintendo library. They're a lot bigger. You're not probably getting less than half of the library there. Probably it's a cost thing. Like, the guts were like exactly the same, so like they probably didn't give a shit.
Right.
Easier to just new shell on top of it. So I love how the European Super Nintendo looks / Super Famicom, which is why there's 2 covers of Ultimate Nintendo Guide to the SNES Library. That's why. But anyway, when is this going to come out if Nintendo doesn't sue them?
I would hope not. I mean, when does it come out? I don't think it says.
Oh, this is the same company that did the Retro 2, or is that a different company? I'm seeing because the Retro 2 was that double cartridge USB compatibility one. That's right, for Genesis games and Super Nintendo. Anyway, all right, well, check it out. You can go to Classic 2 Magic, Arabic numeral 2, classic2magic.com, and get your Super Nintendo game playing on.
Get it
good. Oh, micro USB. Oh, nice. Oh, here's the game ROMs for other systems supported via extra emulators. Everything. You'll be able to put arcade games on this. Yeah, so as long as you can get those emulators on there, you'll be good to go.
Wow. All right.
So this could be a game changer, taking an official product and making it a pirate product. I think Nintendo might be talking to these people. Just my prediction. I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying they might be doing that.
They may.
And it works with both SNES Mini and the NES Mini. And the Shonen Jump Mini, which I want to get still. I think you want to get the...
Yeah, I do too.
That's a cute one. The CU Podcast is proud to be working with NordVPN. Ian, it's what I use to keep myself safe online. And you can too, Ian. Yes, you can too. Yes. If you care about your privacy and the security of your information, NordVPN is giving you 77% off, very specific, 77% off a 3-year plan when you go to nordvpn.com/CU Podcast or use code CU Podcast at checkout. VPN is a virtual private network. It's more critical to having a VPN now more than ever. Why? If you're doing anything online, your info and browsing habits are out there for anyone to get a hold of, Ian. That sounds scary. When you use NordVPN, you have access to over 4,000 super speedy servers in 62 countries, and those connections secure your information using military-grade encryption. Military-grade, Ian.
Bulletproof.
Abrams tank style. This means your info and what you do online is nearly impossible to track. You can use a NordVPN app on your phone as well as your computer. I use it when I'm at the airport, free Wi-Fi at a restaurant or hotel. That's where you want to use it. That's where bad things can happen. To people like Boogie2988, it's happened in the past where it had, his YouTube account hacked at a convention. The folks at PC Mag made NordVPN their editor's top VPN choice. Just one account lets you protect up to 6 devices. There's an app for Android and iOS. It's unlimited bandwidth and a money-back guarantee.
Woo!
Whoa! And maybe you can even try to do a little streaming in different parts of the world. You can try. If you hey, I'm in Belgium right now. Netflix doesn't know I'm in Belgium. Shh. So anyway, to get that special offer, which breaks down only $2.75 per month, go to nordvpn.com/CU Podcast or use code CU Podcast and get going with your secure web browsing. Do it. Do it now. Ian, we love Nintendo. And we love mobile devices.
Okay.
We love apps.
No.
Like a certain NES guide app.
Sure.
That Pat might be finally getting paid for because now he's publishing it himself. Anyway, Ian.
Yes.
Miitomo came and went. Super Mario Run was around.
Mm-hmm.
We had that the Fire Emblem one.
Pocket Camp.
Pocket Camp. I keep forgetting to actually play that. So Nintendo has dipped their toes in the water when it comes to mobile games to, mixed success. Miitomo sort of was like a weird experiment that kind of failed. Super Mario Run didn't do the sales I think they were hoping for at $9.99. I loved it. I thought it was worth $10.
It was fun.
I don't know how Pocket Camp's doing or anything else they have going on. Obviously, the Pokemon stuff, they have a limited stake in it. They're making a lot of money on that.
Yeah, that's doing just fine.
But they're a minority stakeholder with the Pokemon company. But they're still making money. So, Shigeru Miyamoto talked to the good people at Bloomberg about where he sees the mobile game scene being at and where Nintendo could fit into it. He sort of criticized the industry, told them not to be too greedy when it comes to free to pay games.
Free to pay,
free to pay,
free to play,
free to play, but then you pay. That's what it is. And I think I see what's going on here. He's criticizing the free to play model, loot boxes, microtransactions, and there's been record profits from them, obviously, and that's why they keep coming back. Instead of charging an upfront one-time fee, publishers are increasingly giving games away or selling them at discounted prices and nudging players to continually buy in-game products, such as virtual outfits, or encourage them to bet money on winning rare items. So that's their gambit. It's like, yeah, you're going to pay $1 for this game or be free, but it'll be hundreds of dollars out of your pocket when this is all said and done.
Sure.
See you podcast memory, like the that driving game where you had to buy gasoline to play the free to.
Oh, it was
that was an EA game, wasn't it?
It was a
Need for Speed game.
It was a Need for Speed game.
Yes.
Yeah.
So so you cannot possibly play some of these free to play games comfortably or get ahead unless you pay into the system. Yes.
You can play this game for free, but you're gonna have to sit in a chair of spikes.
That's basically what it amounts to. Here's Super Mario Run without the ability to jump unless you pay an extra $1.50.
Right.
That's what it accounts to, and that's what Miyamoto's criticizing. So he has a point when it comes to that. He says, I can't say that our fixed cost model has really been a success. They usually can, Miyamoto said, but we're going to continue pushing it forward until it becomes entrenched, the way everyone can develop games in a comfortable environment. By focusing on bringing games to the widest range of people possible, we can continue boosting our mobile game business. So I think what Miyamoto's afraid of is the devaluing of Nintendo IPs and games once they move to the mobile market. Because I would say that there's probably more thought and time put into their mobile games than the average mobile game that's thrown up on the store for free. So, but that's what the market is for mobile. It's like if you have to spend $10, oh my God, that's insane.
Well, and I think also they look at some of the backlash from something like Pocket Camp, which does... Pocket Camp is kind of one of those time management ones where it's like, you do this and then you have to wait a certain number of, minutes, hours, etc., before you can do something else again.
Sure.
And people don't necessarily love that sort of method. So they did get some flack for that. And I think reasonably he looks at that sort of thing, and yes, he sees that as perhaps devaluing an IP. And I think there's something to be said for when he talks about developing games in a comfortable environment. I sort of take that to mean basically when you are developing a game in a free-to-play model, my thought is that you're not really developing the game that you want, because you have to be, well, you can't, you're developing what you want, but you have to purposely try to figure out how you're going to shoehorn these free-to-play mechanics in. You can't just go and make the game that you necessarily want to, because you have to figure out how you're going to work that mechanic in there to keep... What are you going to limit? What's your resource? Where are you going to put these multiple layers of currency? Because many free-to-play games use, various layers of currency. One that you usually have to buy for something. Sure. You're not just naturally making the game the way you would, because you have to think about what, in addition to X, Y, or Z, are you withholding from a player.
You think about a subscription model, in essence, and how that works with your game versus before. Nintendo's like, this is our game.
Here's the game.
Here's the game.
Right.
Comes out. For the most of their existence, no DLC. Now there's been DLC in a few of their big games, but those DLCs are new games in and of themselves. Just about.
They have done fairly well with Nintendo. Does things that I don't like, but DLC there's been pretty
value.
Good with
the value. It's been there at least. So they're trying to make sure that they don't want to get into the mode where Nintendo has to, in order to sell them, has to go into a market where people won't pay more than 99 cents for a game, or free games that then money has to be pumped into consistently, because then Nintendo has to change how they make games entirely, and they can't do that.
Right.
They don't want to. Imagine them thinking about that. Imagine if they had loot boxes in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Imagine if they had to do that to make money. How that would just alter the game entirely. Here's these rare items, instead of seeking them out and having fun exploring and finding them, getting clues, going through the rough rocky terrain and climbing up. Instead of that, oh, just pay us $5 and throw the dice, or
Right.
That's not the same experience. It's something else. I'm not saying it's wrong, but for them, they don't want to do that.
Yeah, for some games that can, even like, especially there are games that do it without money. That can be fun for a certain type of game, but that would change the dynamic of Zelda entirely.
Sure, and plus, I think since a lot of those games at Nintendo are still geared towards kids, like honestly, I think that's what they think about as well. We don't want kids to have to worry about money once they're playing our games that are purchased.
Well, it's the geared towards everyone, mentality. The casual player is not going to like that idea. The person who dips in to play a Nintendo game every year, a big release every year or something like that, they're used to the progress equals reward structure of a game, not the, you can get all the rewards by doing this, and then you're playing the reasons you're playing the video game, in certain games like say a Fortnite or something, or a game that has loot boxes where you're unlocking something that way. That reward structure is different than I think what most people who tune into a Nintendo game are looking for.
And it's interesting that they said the 2 more mobile games in development: Dragalia Lost, that's being co-developed with Cyber Agent, a publisher that's been criticized for using aggressive tactics in monetizing games. So I guess Nintendo's probably going to rein them in there. And then Mario Kart Tour is coming out in March.
Oh, geez, I forgot about that.
We haven't heard much about that, have we?
No, it was announced, and I think we heard so little about it that we might not have even covered it.
That'll be interesting. You think that'll be a traditional racer, just using your finger? you have to get a wheel next to it?
Yeah, I don't know.
That could be fun. A dumbed-down mobile Mario Kart could make sense.
Sure.
Simplified version, using the little touch. I hate the touch crosspad on phone. It just doesn't work. But or you can just shift your phone.
That's what I was saying.
Oh, that's what you're doing like this?
Yeah, I mean,
phones
I'm very, very
what,
tiny.
Are you driving a school bus?
I'm very tiny, and my phone is very large.
They want a ruse of phones, gigantic phones.
Ruse phone that you can put down on the ground and throw a fucking sleeping bag on top of.
Can you use mobile phones for that purpose? I guess you
can.
All right, so I think that's what Miyamoto's getting at here, is that this is a world that they're late to, and that they don't want to change how they operate in order to fit into it.
Yeah, I mean, they're late to it. Nintendo's not good at adapting.
Oh no! I'm shocked they've adapted as much as they had the past year and a half.
Nintendo's very bad at adapting, and I think this is a tacit. This is an admission of we're not good at adapting. We also don't like this, so this is why we don't like it, and this is why we're not going to try to adapt very much.
Yeah.
Yes,
you're going to get our $10 Mario Kart Tour game or $5 and like it. We're not doing free, and then you got to buy turtle shells.
They are. And it's probably not working, and I think this might be his way of saying we're giving this one more go, and if it doesn't work, then maybe you're going to see some changes.
And then we'll do the Nintendo phone. That'll come soon. I wonder if that's an idea, actually.
Nintendo phone?
I'm surprised.
Phone-tendo.
That would sell, the more I think about it. That would actually sell a good amount if they did their own phone. Nintendo, don't take this idea. If we do, I'll work with you. We'll roll it out together. We'll Shark Tank this. We'll do it. All right. Ian...
You told me that it couldn't get more perfect for a 5th anniversary.
This was not a segment we started with on the CU podcast 5 years in. It came about naturally. It came to develop organically.
Organically, yes.
Just like our love for a certain NES title, which we bring up from time to time. But we have a 5th anniversary scumbag
Seller
of
the week.
The 5th anniversary edition.
Limited.
And it couldn't be more appropriate.
Oh my god, it really couldn't be.
I wonder. I'm gonna look up their GoDaddy, see if they did this last week. ReproGaming.com.
An entire website devoted to the trashy, unfortunate practice
of counterfeit repro games.
You don't even have to go to eBay.
No, you can go to reprogaming.com. You can get the Pokemon 7-pack.
The 7-pack.
Blue, red, green, silver, yellow, gold, crystal. all for $44. Saves 30%.
You can get Pokemon Pink, which didn't exist. You can also get Pokemon Prism, which didn't exist. You can get all of your favorite ROM hacks.
But that's not the problem. That
No.
at least, it's getting stuff like the Conker's Bad Fur Day for $24.69. Getting a Mario Party 2, for example. You can get that complete in box.
Complete in box.
Their quote,
It's fresh.
their game logo quote is "Retro gaming rocks." You know what rocks? Selling cheap shit from China off AliExpress. That's what rocks. Let's. I'm gonna check out. You can check out the Sega
Arrow
section.
Fighters for $13.99 on the Super.
Oh, that's great. Battletoads Double Dragon for NES 1954. There you go.
Oh, 1954. That's a fucking steal.
Bobble
54.
Part 2. They just call it the GameStop edition. $22.99 for that.
GameStop edition.
Play now. This is a strange one. Gotta admit, this one, Castle Quest. There's a lot of people clamoring to play Castle Quest on the NES. Well, if you want to, it's $22.99, which is more than what it goes for on the NES, isn't it?
I was gonna say Castle Quest is like a $5 to $8 game.
I'm guessing someone at ReproGaming.com really loves Castle Quest. It's not a dirt common game, but you can find Castle
They
Quest.
just want to make sure that it's available at all times in case they need to play a copy.
I think it's 2.5 stars according to a certain NES guide.
You can get Alien Soldier for $8.99, or you can get it with a repro case and box as well for $19.99.
for the Genesis.
Yeah.
You can get DuckTales for $22.99. I think it's actually cheaper now in the NES than that. Of course, you get DuckTales 2 as well. Gargoyle's Quest 2, Kickmaster, Little Samson. It wouldn't be a counterfeit game website without Little Samson, and of course, Metal Storm by Irem. Ninja. You can get Ninja Gaiden.
What are the hot prices on
the hot prices?
on Little Samson and
Little Samson, we got 15% off right now at $19.54.
Oh, see, there's always a little bit of a markup on the price here ones.
Well, not a Ninja Gaiden's $22.99. 1, 2, or 3.
What
there.
makes those more expensive?
I don't know.
Also, Ninja Gaiden's like a $10 to $15 game.
That's what's so strange about some of these. Like they have Power Blade 2, which you understand, and Snow Brothers. That makes sense.
So not only are they scumbag sellers for...
They're scumbag overpricers on these as well.
So not only are they selling repros, they're selling the repros at more than you could get the original version of the game.
I am floored by Castle Quest. I have never seen a counterfeit Castle Quest before, or know someone who would say, you know what, I need that Castle Quest right now. I'm not looking on eBay and waiting a week. I want it. What's a Castle Quest go for? Let's check a certain app. Here. I gotta check it. And this isn't even a plug. The app will have the price in here. I'm gonna guess Castle Quest is $9 before it comes up here. Let's see. Castle Quest. What's your prediction on Castle Quest, Ian?
No more than 15.
$6.07 estimated value according to price charting.
Give me 1 second.
Okay, 1 second.
Hold on. Let's see. 1 second.
Are you calling retrogaming.com?
No.
Oh, should I pause?
No, it's fine. I was trying to call Luna to see what we charge for it, but and if we had any copies in stock.
We went a long way for that one, Ian.
But unfortunately, it's busy.
So it shouldn't be more than $8, $9.
No, yeah, I'm fairly certain it's
two
like
locations, Chula Vista and El
Chula
Cajon.
Vista, El Cajon.
Yeah.
Celebrating our 15th anniversary.
right.
All of September. Deals, sales every day of the week.
It's the year of the fives. 5 years of the CU podcast, 15 years. When is it? This week?
All of September.
You know what's available? A certain NES guidebook is available at Luna Video Games.
That's right. Buy one, get one free sales every week.
Not for the guidebook, though.
Not for the guidebook.
Okay, but okay. Let's check out this the super section. You want to look at the N64 one? Do that one?
I don't want to. I don't. Well, I mean,
I'm having fun. I'm trying to find more of these games where the counterfeit's more money.
Well, while you're looking, someone tried to pass off a really, really bad Mario Kart 64 counterfeit at the store. I wonder if it came from reprogaming.com.
It may have. Or the same person that manufactures a billion of them over in China.
I will say this. If it came from reprogaming.com, it was horrible. It was a miserable, miserable counterfeit. I could tell from 25 feet away, it looked like a novelty bar of soap in the shape of an N64 cartridge.
Someone carved it?
Yeah, it looked like it was real bad. And the guy was like, "Oh, it's a bootleg? How do you know?" And I was like, "Well,
looks like shit
because of everything."
They have 213 Super Nintendo games counterfeit for sale.
Oh, do they?
If you want to get what does Aladdin go for at Luna Video Games? Probably
15.
you can pay $20.
Oh,
excuse me,
okay.
excuse me, $18 for that.
Oh, okay.
Or Axelade's $18. Let's see. There's literally 250 here, and they don't. And some of them make sense, some don't. Yeah, Captain Commando, that's a little bit uncommon. That's $14. That must be the clearance price on that. That's the cheapest one I've seen. Oh, there you go. Complete in box Castlevania Dracula X for $40. There you go. So it looks like at least I think it's more reasoned here on the Super Nintendo. The NES though, that Castle Quest is going to haunt me in my dreams forever. I want to get the guy on the phone and think, what the hell did they think of Castle Quest? I'm
I
really
almost
wondering.
kind of want it. I don't want to support them.
It's almost a mistake though. It must have been like Castlevania. And they said and they said, oh, you want Castle Quest? Okay, we'll make Castle Quest. And they shipped them 100 Castle Quests.
That's
and they're stuck with them.
kind of what I think happened. I almost
I don't
kind of want
understand
one
it.
just to frame.
Just to frame it?
Yeah, just to frame. See, like, yeah, I got one. I have one counterfeit in my collection. Castle Quest.
The worst idea for a bootleg NES game I've ever heard. I've never heard someone say, hey, I want to play Castle Quest really badly.
Can you do me a favor? Can you see if they have a bootleg Mario Paint cartridge under Super Nintendo?
Oh, let's look right now.
That would be a fantastic bootleg.
Fortunately, got to scroll through a ton of these. You got anything else to add here, Ian? This is just tailor-made here. This is like it's almost you can retire almost.
I don't know that it gets any better than this. If only it had the background from that Australian website that
yes.
That would be great.
Or I can get a nasty message on Facebook afterwards. It's happened a couple times with Scumbags last week. It's happened before. If only there was a game wheel attached to this. You know, that would have been great.
Right.
Remember the game wheel topics in the past? That's fun.
Well, reprogaming.com, you are the scumbag seller of the week, quite possibly of the past 5 years. You're close.
Top five.
Top five.
Top five. I wouldn't put it number one. Top five here. Especially charging $18 for Mortal Kombat Super Nintendo.
And I'm going to accuse all of you of eating mayonnaise out of the jar with a spoon.
Doesn't seem healthy. All right. Ian.
Pat.
It's time for the Patreon poll Q&A topic. And you know exactly where to go, Ian. Exactly. This is like a neck strike attack. You know exactly on the 5th anniversary where to go to access the CU Podcast Patreon, Ian.
www.patreon.com/CU Podcast.
Woo, you had to think. He had to think.
I did. I really had to fucking zone in. I zoned the fuck in on that.
To his Ian's credit, after the first 9 times of screwing up, he's gotten better. He's like 50-50 now. It's slowly his batting average is now like 115.
Yeah.
He's getting there. He's like a pitcher's batting average now when it comes to that. And there you can access Ian's writings that come up every Tuesday or Wednesday. Ian's thinking of something right now to write later.
Yeah,
today.
I was like, oh shit, what am I writing about?
Ian.
What
Yes,
am I writing about this week?
I hate having to rise you to get those out, but we got that going on. We have also the monthly hangouts with Ian, and then we also have the Patreon poll topic. And this was a runaway hit this time out, I believe. Let me check here. Let me check patreon.com/CU Podcast and see what we got here. But it was, I think, 59 or 69% here. I just want to make sure I got this right here. Yes. Oh, excuse me, a little bit less. So the one that's died out that was second place before was, do you miss cheesy / bad games based on movies and TV shows? 8%, which could be the lowest ever. Second place, 38%, most overrated popular gaming console from the past. And then number one, 53%. What expensive / rare video game item does Pat or Ian regret buying? Ian, what do you regret ever buying?
There's a lot of things that I started to regret buying right towards the end of my collecting. I really regret most of the stuff that I bought for the NES.
Were they expensive or rare? Or both?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't pay a ton for a lot of that stuff, I guess. But what were some of the ones that I did pay more for? None of it was over 100, but I was paying upwards of 80 to 90 for stuff at the end, like I think it was like my Power Blade 2 and things like that. Basically, I wanted to get out of collecting, and I was still buying expensive stuff when I was thinking about getting rid of it, and I never really used it or had any fun with it, so I got rid of it. My Wonder Swan stuff, I wish I'd never bought my Wonder Swan stuff.
Oh, it's no NG.
Neo Geo Pocket Color, NGPC.
It rolls off the tongue.
I like the Wonder Swan, but I just didn't need to start another collection. Wonder Swan stuff's not crazy pricey, especially the black and white stuff, but crystals are expensive. I bought a WonderSwan crystal. I'm happy I have the crystal. I didn't need to buy a black and white. I didn't need to buy a WonderSwan color. I didn't need to buy the WonderSwan color, Final Fantasy II collector's set. I got rid of all that shit. It was stuff that I bought and had in my collection for almost no time at all. There was, I don't know, I feel like that there's probably other people out there who were going through the motions of buying stuff for their collection when their heart was maybe not still in it, and I don't know, probably turned around and got rid of it almost immediately. So yeah, I think my WonderSwan stuff, especially like my Final Fantasy II collector's set, was one of those. And I regret buying any of the I kind of regret paying any amount of money for any of the turbo stuff I have. Actual turbo stuff that I had, like the
Fire sale.
Yeah, like the guns and like the games I got from like Nintendo Dan and stuff when he was selling his stuff, because I have no. I want to get those games on the PC Engine at some point anyways. The only games that I want for the turbo graphics are the ones that absolutely require language, like JB Harold Murder Club and stuff like that. I don't need the other ones. So,
and then some of the US ones that you'd want as must-have, like Splatterhouse, they're not super expensive, or weren't anyway.
Right.
Like $30, 20 back in the day, 15. Now they're more money, but Bonk was never that expensive until the past few years.
So that's stuff that I kind of regret spending money on. When I think about like big ticket rare items that I have my Pokemon Center Limited Game Boy Light. I don't regret that. Limited. And I don't regret my Sapphire, which is a whole long story. Those things I'm happy I have. And a lot of the stuff
you didn't buy your Sapphire.
Yeah, I know.
So you can't. It wasn't a purchase.
I worked for it. And then a lot of the stuff that I had that would have been rare, I got when I was younger, and it's either I didn't get it for much or I sold it off, and it's been so long I can't regret it.
I've made some Nintendo Dan purchases, 2 or 3 sizable purchases, where I was trying to buy more and save. I've also bought more and saved from Craigslist. That's where Ian got his cheap Turbo Express, where I had to spend hundreds of dollars in order to get something. You're not selling that Turbo Express on my dead body. I went to like the fucking, I thought I was going to get knifed during that deal.
Knifed.
In that guy's bedroom. Anyway, I kind of regret buying all those rare Saturn and Sega CD games. All the working designs ones. And
didn't you sell them all off?
No.
Oh, you still have them?
What the fuck?
I thought you might have gotten rid of them at one point. Because I know you said you regret them.
Ian's trying to crash the market there.
No, I'm not. I thought
the Sega CD market.
I just know you've said you regret them before.
I mean, I'm not going to play them, right? I mean, they're cool. They were in front of me, and I was getting like, it wasn't like 10% of the value. I was paying like 50%, 60%. And I did get Snatcher. I really wanted at the time, so I got like that with it. So that was, that was sort of the deal. And plus, I had I had a certain writer with me that was going through the deals. I wasn't posturing for him, but he saw. That's a whole other conversation. But anyway, so that was that deal. You know what I really regret, thinking back out of everything? I bought this Caltron 6-in-1 from someone for like $180.
It was $145.
And I remember at the time thinking, this might be a decent deal. He has the manual. He's going to get the manual for me. And then about 3 months later, a whole fucking horde of Caltron 6-in-1 sealed were found in Mexico. And we're going for like $180 sealed.
Yep.
And so that I kind of got hosed on that deal, I think. And you know what? I don't think I ever got that manual. The more I think about it, I don't think I ever got that manual. So I think I'm entitled to a discount.
I told you that manual might come around.
I think I'm entitled to a Pat.
It's not my fault that the world fucked you in the face.
A Pat Caltron discount. I think I'm entitled to it there. So I really heavily regret that one. Because at the time I was like, yeah, I can just buy it sealed, and you still can. What does a Caltron 601 sealed go for? It's never. It used to be over $1,000. And then they came way down. I remember Super Collector.
Yeah, it did crash down about 6 months later.
Super Collector Steve Lynn, I remember he had one years back. I said, you should sell that. I even said at the time, this was like back in Jersey at Digital Press. He had one sealed. I said, you think I should sell this? I had offers. He said, yeah, you should sell that. Because I don't think there's ever going to be any more money, and they might find something. And guess what? Like 5-6 years later, they found them. Somebody went, "See, I regret that. I don't think I'm doing a deal with that Ian person again." But let's see what a Caltron goes for.
Yes, because I was doing insider trading.
It wasn't insider trading. Well, there's no sealed ones for sale. Actually, there is. You can get a graded one for $500. You can get a sealed one there. So they've come up back from like the 200, but they're still really cheap. And you can probably wait out because there's now 1,000 of those in collectors' hands, or hundreds at least. Ooh, there's a PAL version. Never saw the PAL box before. PAL version's pretty right there. So anyway, so that's what I regret, Ian. That's what I regret. If you're a student in today's world, you'll love Chegg.com. Search free scholarships, browse course reviews, get 24-hour, 7-day-a-week study help, and rent textbooks for a fraction of the cost of your bookstore, all in one big education redefining student hub. You remember how awful it was to buy textbooks in college? I do. It was ridiculous.
It was insane.
It was insane. Then then you couldn't sell it back usually for anything, and then they make them obsolete the next year with the new editions.
So Chegg.com is a website that offers textbook rental. So, for instance, instead of paying $45 for a book, you can pay $15.99, and you'll get to rent it for the whole semester, and they'll cover the shipping back. But Chegg.com also has a study service, and you can. There's textbook solutions. There's tutoring. You get a half hour of online tutoring.
Expert Q&A.
You can take pictures of problems that aren't covered in their textbooks and send them to a tutor, and you'll get help back as quick as 2 hours.
That's insane. When I was in college, you have to like sign up for a tutor, wait a week, and go to him, and walk across campus, up and down the damn hills there on campus. It was terrible. This is all convenient of your desktop, or they even have a mobile app.
Yeah, so you can use it mobilely. You can study wherever you want. So this is very handy. You can, for $5 off your first month subscription, you can try this for 1 month. You can go to chegg.com/CU
podcast. There's 2 G's in Chegg for that. There's a library of step-by-step textbook solutions, the ones that already exist. You can ask them, hey, help me figure this problem out. And it might be in their database there. There's subjects such as accounting, biology, calculus, mechanical engineering, stuff way, way more intelligent than what Ian and I can handle here.
Yeah, can't do that.
If you're studying for midterms, getting prepped for a final exam, or have difficult homework problems, you can master any class with the Chegg Study app. Yeah. So again, go to chegg.com/CU podcast. Use promo code CU podcast for $5 off your first month's subscription. So yeah, if you're in college, you're going back to school, community college, university, maybe if you want to assist someone in your household, check out chegg.com. Q&A time on the CU podcast. This is from,
here I go. It's from Barclay Berry Burt Bort, Thomas Arianes. What are your goals for hopefully the next 5 years? I'm hoping for a syndicated TV show, then a spinoff, CU Podcast Babies.
Oh, okay. Would that be funny? Who would have in our group? We'd have like a baby Frank. There.
Oh Jesus!
A baby Vonnie.
But full fucking mustache and hair.
Oh, okay.
Just tiny, toddling around in a fucking diaper. God, that's horrifying. I'm done.
A mini Spike.
Man, baby Spike is cute.
Baby Spike, but just still grumpy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm looking for the next 5 years? Getting the Bloodsport T-shirt that Thomas gave you to give to me.
That's not his. That he wasn't the one who gave it to you.
Are you sure it wasn't?
Yeah, that's not the Tom.
Damn it. It's the other Thomas. But anyway, there's still a Thomas.
There was a Tom 2 Tacos, and he came in and he gave me 2 Bloodsport T-shirts. I remember it now. And they're both extra larges.
Where is it?
They're both at home hanging in my closet.
So you do have them still?
Yeah.
Why did you give me the shirt?
I forgot.
This is like 4 years ago now.
It was a long time ago.
You didn't bring it today?
No.
Is it a nice shirt? What is it? What's on it?
It's the one that I've worn.
Oh, the one you've worn holding the medallion?
Yeah.
So I could have been wearing that shirt for years.
Because you wear extra larges.
I would wear that shirt to work out in. I do the heavy bag and I punch and kick. What better way to do that with a Bloodsport shirt?
I punch and kick.
Yes, I do.
I'll dig it up
decently,
for you.
by the way. Thanks, Ian. Have you worn both of them or just the one?
Just the one, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Jeez.
Get screwed on a Caltron deal. I don't get a gift shirt.
You didn't get screwed on the Caltron
I got
deal.
screwed on the
You got
Caltron deal.
40 off. It's not my fault that there was they magically found him.
Yeah, I don't think it was 145. Was it 145?
It was 145. It was going for 180.
Okay. With the manual, though.
No, I said maybe I'll find the manual.
And did you look?
Yeah, I looked. I don't know where the fuck it went.
This is from at Ansci TV, Animal Sciences. This is to Ian specifically. Looking back, which Pat moment made you the craziest?
Eating on the fucking podcast.
That did not make you the craziest.
No, it might have. It might have made me the fucking craziest.
I'm sorry if the bars are a little crunchy sometimes.
More like moist and chewy and wet. Yeah,
I'm getting turned on.
moist and chewy and wet. What part of the podcast with Pat drives me the craziest? What part drove
What
me
made you the craziest?
What made me the craziest? Honestly, that was my go-to answer.
That's only because that's recent. It's only been the past 3 podcasts.
Let's go back to it. I'll think.
You're gonna think on that?
Yeah, I'm gonna think on that.
You're gonna think on that?
Yeah.
You couldn't jot anything down? Okay. All right. This is from at Ryan Shoptaw. I like that name. It's got a nice, strong 80s ninja movie.
Yeah.
I'm Ryan Shoptaw. 4 years ago, you discussed the state of games journalism. Since then, do you feel it has gotten better or worse? And at first, I didn't remember this. We looked it up. It was in the crappy condo, and it was before we even had a table. It was when we had the little fold-out meal service thing, just sitting side by side with our old mics, the old crappy condenser mics we had. And we did talk about games journalism. So that was probably 2000. I think it was early 2014. That was like 7 months into the podcast about.
Yeah.
And so, what do you remember between now and then that's changed? I remember the quote you said about how games journalism was just advertising for the big games companies at the time.
Well, I felt like it was basically a PR mouthpiece. I feel like games journalism at its worst, or at its most banal, and that's, I think, how I felt it was then, is a regurgitation of PR talking points. You know, at its worst, I don't feel like there's any actual journalism done. I feel like it's, here's a press release. How can you spin this into
How can you write that? Hey, this game's coming out.
Yeah, how can you write this as an article?
Sure.
I feel like it's gotten a lot better though. I feel like there's a lot more articles, a lot more investigation. I do feel like lately Kotaku has gotten a bit better under Chris Kohler. Writers such as Cecilia De Anastaso does really good long form.
She did the write up about the Atari.
She did the Atari.
Yeah,
that's one that she did. She does really good work. I feel like that
Jason Schreier's been doing some good work.
Yes. Sometimes a bit inflammatory.
Kotaku's turning it around a bit.
Sometimes a bit inflammatory, but Schreier does good stuff.
Jason, I'll have a conversation with him sometime.
He does. He brings up good points.
Yeah.
So I do think I think the desire to get out there and actually
do work.
Stuff with teeth is there, and I think that there's a lot of people who are doing a very good job about it. A lot of my complaints do still stand though. I mean, a lot of stuff on the day-to-day basis is still that, and that's a matter. I think that's just par for the course with that sort of work. I think on a regular day-to-day basis, you're going to have a lot of that due to what the industry is. It's nice to see that there are people though trying to put together these large pieces so that you do get meat with your filler.
The problem is that obviously there's less money to be in theory made to the hard-hitting stories covering these topics that might take 5 months to put an article together.
Right.
Interviewing lots of people, digging out old contact information, putting together various sources. That's real investigative, real reporter journalism work. And it's hard to find those topics in general when it comes to video games. But when you do, that may not be the sexiest sort of headline. You know, it may not be, like talking about, what was the one with the, what was the games company that Kotaku did the investigative report about the sexual harassment claims a couple weeks ago? It was fairly recent.
Oh, shit. Because that was the other one I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Fuck.
So that's work that can take months to put together an article like that. Easily. Months.
Shit.
That's a lot. Relax.
No, because that was a good one, and I can't remember the company.
Okay, well.
Yeah. Anyways.
But you see, my point is that that's that's good, but you're not going to build like a following necessarily off that unless that becomes a specific brand for your website to be only doing that sort of stuff. That's like a one-off. You know, it's hard for a website to make consistent, make a lot of money off that. The 16-year-old kid wants to just know what the hell the next zombie mode and the next Black Ops game is going to be. Like, he may not be interested in an article like that.
Sure.
You know, it's like, what's your audience? What are you catering toward? You know, what are you going after? And if there only has to be one or two sites that do work, like the Kotaku's trying to do more and more now, that's fine. I just think that I don't know if that's sustainable for every website to do. I don't know if there's an audience for more than one website to do that sort of work, unfortunately. I don't think, unless we mature to the point where we need that more. I don't know. I'm asking a lot of philosophical questions about that. But I'm glad that there's at least some sites doing that. But I think the other reason why that there's been a shift potentially is because the PR mouthpieces have become influencers, Twitch streamers, YouTubers.
Sure.
They're getting the information out more effectively than what IGN and GameSpot can do. By far.
Yes.
It's more direct. It's more relatable. It's video format. And yes, IGN's done videos now, like video reviews and things like that. But the more successful people are on YouTube versus, by and large, people working for these websites. That's why they get their stars. They get big people, find them, they like them. It's more organic than, hey, I'm on IGN and I got a big following. Well, it's because you have a big platform. That helps. You know, like the cream does sort of rise to the top on YouTube and people get there.
Cream rises to the top.
To the top!
To the top.
360!
360.
Anyway, so that's all I have to say about that. I do think in general it has gotten better. I don't think it's perfect. I talked about there's certain websites there's certain websites I've stopped going to for sources on the podcast. You probably notice a couple that I don't use anymore because I think they're too divisive. But anyway, so that's all I'm going to say about that. So it's got a little better. This is from at Sonic Anim, Anthony Stevens. .emu announcements of sequels to Windjammers, Streets of Rage, and Wonder Boy / Monster Boy, and thoughts on these older game revivals. Perhaps, please, perhaps.
So I think it's great. I mean, we'll see, you know, exactly what the quality's like. I have my fingers crossed on Windjammers 2. I'm very excited, but also cautious, just because Windjammers hit a very odd sweet spot, and I'm almost afraid what will happen if they try to make it any more complex.
Plus, I mean, do we need more
Yes.
of a Windjammer experience after the first one?
Well, I mean, Windjammers is crazy popular right now, like insanely popular. They had 178 entrants in the Evo tournament.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So it sort of got into the fighting scene a little bit.
Oh yeah. So I've been paying attention to it because I play Windjammers a lot on the PS4.
I've told you my Windjammer story.
Yes. Windjammers has become incredibly popular again over the past few years. Lots of tournaments for it. Lots of people playing it. Big representation at Evo. And so there's now a sequel coming out. And I think it's great to see a game come back into the limelight, get a lot of support, and is now getting a sequel. As we talked about earlier in the show, Streets of Rage, beat-em-ups have been, very popular lately. There have been rumors, people talking about Streets of Rage for quite some time, and now it's getting part 4. Wonder Boy, Monster Boy, those games have always had a cult following. Wonder Boy and Dragon's Trap got its release on the Switch and the PS4. It was a fantastic port, basically just with wonderful graphic shine over it. So I think it's getting there's a Wonder Boy and Monster. There's a new Wonder Boy and Monster World coming out. So it's fantastic to see all of this. My only concern is when it's all being done under one publisher and then potentially by a bunch of the same developers, you run the risk of things looking the same, feeling the same, or being too samey. So if you don't like how the game feels, if you don't like how one game feels, say the movement or something like that, you run the risk of it transferring across. It's similar. My only concern is, for instance, Way Forward was a company that was responsible for lots of 2D revitalized games a while back.
Have you played that DuckTales Remastered?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
I did. We talked about it. We had a whole segment on it. Yeah, but we did. We talked about it.
It's memories, Ian.
But DuckTales, Aliens, they did Adventure Time. They did all this stuff, and it was great to see all these properties either get Contra to get either revitalized or get games done in an old style. But if you didn't like One Way Forward game, chances are you weren't going to like any of them. You know, these games are all in a different style, but do you see what I'm saying? If you consolidate it all under one house or one name, you run the risk of, if one's not good, maybe they're not all going to be.
Do you run a risk of burnout on some of these properties?
Well, I mean, Streets of Rage, it's one property. Wonder Boy, different type of game. Windjammers, different type of game. So I don't think you run the risk of burnout.
Well, I mean, they're picking these games that had either they're gone for 30 years like Streets of Rage or 20 years. Windjammers, which was such a niche cult game. Wonder Boy, yeah, that wasn't really popular in the U.S. that much, but I guess Europe probably better. Japan. So,
beat 'em ups are big right now. Exploration style platform adventures are always huge. So Wonder Boy and Wonder Boy / Monster Boy don't need to worry. And Windjammers is hotter than it's probably ever been.
Then they strike while the iron's hot with the sequel. I just don't know if that's diminishing returns on a game like that for a sequel.
Right now, I don't think so. Like I said, it just had a big year at EVO. It's competitive again. I think
again, was there Neo Geo tournaments in the 90s of that?
Well, I mean, if there wasn't, then I mean, the fact that it's competitive says a lot.
Oh no, I when I played it, you know, it's a reason a semi-popular YouTuber won't talk anymore because I humiliated him. But playing it, but you know, it's fine, it's fun.
Ian asks, do YouTubers? This is from DJP at Movies Ideas. Do YouTubers do a little too much complaining about YouTube? Is there a difference between wanting a system fixed and griping as though their lives had no choice but to become ensnared in the grasp of a .com site that allowed people to make money and post free vids?
Well, that's kind of a loaded question.
Jesus H.
We kind of know your opinion. Okay. YouTube is now not just a website, it's an ecosystem. It's a way of life for people. It's becoming larger than cable TV in terms of like market share. And it's a commerce website. It's become like its own ecosystem. So it's very important to people that depend upon it now. Absolutely. And YouTube is not perfect. There's problems with the people being unsubscribed to channels, not getting notifications, or not knowing how to get all the things in their feed. They don't know when videos from certain channels will drop out of their subscription feed, things of that nature. YouTube hasn't been entirely transparent about certain changes, or there's been unpopular changes, like when they try to marry the disaster of a few years ago, 3-4 years ago, when they try to marry Google Plus in with YouTube. And Google, that was really horrific, where you needed a Google Plus account to do it, and it was all connected, and that felt... That Google Plus, I don't know anyone who actually uses Google Plus. Like, that was just one of the worst failed experiments ever. So Google / Alphabet, YouTube, they've been far from perfect. Absolutely. Now they're crossing over into, you know, they made mistakes in terms of partnerships, making it too hard to be partnered, making it too easy. Then they're removing the partnerships. So there are problems with YouTube. To your point, though, do YouTubers publicly, I will say, complain a little too much about it? Yeah, I think they do. And not that something can't come out of complaining about something that happens when like a video gets a copyright complaint where it's bullshit, and you go through the proper methods of getting it resolved. Complaining about that publicly, that's fine. And that's happened where people have been struck down where they shouldn't have, and it's been overridden. But for the general wide YouTube complaining, I think it's not necessarily a waste of time, but it's just a waste of energy to me to complain about something like that, where you're on this platform that without it existing, you'd be shit out of luck in terms of having that opportunity to begin with. Not that you should be 100% grateful for the opportunity to make yourself money and this large company, but I think you get that perspective sometimes when it comes to some of these issues. And it's not to say there aren't valid complaints, but I think it's the volume of complaining that I sometimes see that bothers me, where it's, okay, we know YouTube's not perfect, we know it can be made better, we know the algorithm changes can screw with you at some point, but you know, but sometimes it just is what it is. You got to deal with it. You got to just make your own way, adapt to it, do something else, try something different, because it's not going to necessarily get better if it's the same thing year after year. At some point, stop bitching about it and just try to do better or do something else if it's affecting you that much. And that's my opinion on it. And that goes out to not just people I don't know, but people that I love and I respect that might, complain about it too much for my likings. But it is what it is. And we can disagree on the amount of it. But I do think that your energy is wasted after a point. Ian?
I mean, I don't have a YouTube channel, so I mean, my
That's not what the question's about.
My feeling is at a certain point. Hey, look, I complain about things online, but my feeling is at a certain point, complaining about it all the time online just looks.
It's like crying wolf almost.
Yeah, it's to the point where you complain about something online all the time, and people become dead to it. Where they become numb to it, and it's just part of it, and every shitty thing that YouTube does, none of it matters anymore because it's par for the course.
Sure.
Because everything they do is complaint worthy. When they really fuck everything up,
But it's not just complaints about YouTube itself. I've seen complaints, why aren't people watching my videos anymore? And it's like, well, that's not necessarily YouTube's fault all the time.
And that's the other thing. I feel that...
And that's what bothers me the most.
I think that's my big issue is YouTube fucks up plenty. However, conflating YouTube fucking up with a decrease in views, when that gets complained about too much, it comes across as whiny.
Yeah, because audience taste change. People get older. People stop watching YouTube. Younger people now are watching different things. Yes, YouTube does prioritize certain types of videos based upon watch time and things of that nature. But it's like anything else. If you do a TV show, after 7 years, people might get sick of it, or after 10 years. I mean, the majority of TV shows don't last 2 years, 3 years. So people change. And I try not to think about, I mean, I have a Pat the NES Punk series that's had its highs, it's had its lows, and I can't dwell on the fact that certain episodes have done poorly. The 10th anniversary video has not done as well as I'd hoped. But maybe there's no audience for it anymore. Maybe they don't know it exists. Maybe they've disappeared and younger people don't like it. So I can't dwell on that. I just have to accept that's what it is. You try it, it doesn't work. You move on. You come back to it at some point. But you can't stake your whole time on wishing or wondering why more people aren't watching it.
Some of the best TV shows in the world had 12 to 14 episodes.
You know what? I'm the Firefly of YouTube. That's the way I'm going to market
the Faulty Towers.
I'm the Faulty Towers of YouTube. There you go. That's the way you do it, and it is what it is, But entertainment is the most fickle sort of thing you have out there. So you might be doing something in 2008 that worked for you, 2010, 11, 12, and people get fucking sick of it.
Right. And yes, YouTube's fucking up, but that's not necessarily why.
Yeah, it's part of the Venn diagram, but it's not all of it. So there you have it. There. This is from you can ask this one, Ian.
How Ian and this is from Trinidad Mendoza, Trinidad. Hi Trinidad. He goes to the store. How Ian and Pat met. Sorry, this might have already been known, but not for me. Congratulations on your 5th anniversary.
What's the 5th anniversary for a podcast? What's the gift for that? Is it a Nintendo game? What is that? An Atari?
I don't know.
An ET cartridge? What is that? A Turbo Express car adapter? I'm just looking. So how did Ian and I meet?
I butt chugged 5 gallons of cooking sherry, woke up in an alley, and there you were.
What was I doing there?
I don't know.
Are you okay, buddy?
Yeah.
Why is this bottle sticking out of your ass? It was 2008. It was July. It was Comic-Con. I was there to see the Watchmen panel. Back when you could get into Hall H just by arriving at 9 a.m. and not 3 days before. 10 years ago.
Might have been the last year.
10 years ago was when I met Ian. Wow, it's a 10-year anniversary of me knowing Ian. Holy shit. Wow, we passed that.
No, that can't be right.
It is. It was 2008, buddy.
It had to be 2010. I didn't know you when you first started doing Pat the NES Punk.
I first met you in 2008 when I visited Luna Video Games, the Voltaire location, in July before Comic-Con.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, that's
not
right.
knowing you, but we,
met me. Yes,
I met Ian. There was a cute little video game store. I love mom and pop video game stores. I stroll into, visiting San Diego. I looked up video game stores. There was Game Zone, which is hell on earth.
Game Rave.
Oh, Game Rave. Excuse
Yeah.
me. There's a Game Zone too that closed. There used to be a Game Zone in Claremont.
Yep.
But there's Game Rave. When I saw an $80 Super Dodgeball in 2008, I walked out, and then I went to Luna Video Games, and there was plucky, clean-shaven, 20-year-old looking Ian with short hair behind the counter, and I believe the first time I was confused the first two visits, I bought either Baby Boomer, and I bought
I think the second time you bought Prince of Persia box.
Prince of Persia box. First time was Baby Boomer and a couple other games, I believe, but Baby Boomer was still on my list there. And I chatted up with Ian because I'm gregarious, I guess. I'm affable. Enough to break through Ian's hardened shell at the time behind the desk. There was no one else in the shop.
Like a fucking 15-year-old gumball.
So there was no one else in the shop, I don't think, at the time. So I chatted with Ian, and he had the cool counter space back there. I love that Voltaire location.
It was nice.
Should have bought it out. I kept it open. I love being able to go down there, once a week and talk to Ian, or twice a week when I first moved here. But I would talk to Ian about being a game collector. Ian's heard it all before. I said, I didn't bring up the YouTube thing. I said, hey, because that was 2008 is when I first started.
I was going to say, I don't think you brought that up until like 2 years later.
So in 2008, I would have had only 2 videos when I met Ian. I would have had the Three Stooges one, and I would have had Baseball Stars when I met him. And probably just the Baseball Stars one. That was it. That's all I had. So there wasn't even a thing then. So, I was a collector, and I talked to Ian, and he probably thought I was out of my fucking mind. Because I was 10 years ago, I probably was more out of my mind than I am now. And
compared to some of the people I'd meet there, you're probably all right.
Oh, thanks, Ian. And so that's how we met. I don't know if Ian remembers anything in particular, what I did, or weird things, or when I wrote the Caltron 6-in-1 episode, when I wrote that, I sort of tried to base on how I would have acted when I first met Ian, and sort of made like over the top, just talking about stuff I have.
That's how I remember you. You were friendly and boppy.
Boppy. That's a good word to describe.
Beep, 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 beep. Yeah, you were very bippy.
I was very boppy until I was about 34.
You were very bippy and boppy.
So that's what happened. Then the next year I came back and said, hey, remember me from last year? Well, I'm moving here.
I did remember
Because the next year I came back in April 2009 to look for a place. I might have visited then.
You did.
And then I came back
again for Comic-Con.
For Comic-Con, I had to move all the furniture out of the place that was still there. They didn't take the furniture. So yeah. So then it was my way of slowly hitting on Ian to get into his good graces. Because
the first date was miserable though.
The first date was the first date really going to the swap meet? Would you call it? Was that fall 2009?
I don't know.
No, that was later than that. We weren't really talking that much fall 2009 yet. Oh, that's when I started to get to know you more. Yeah.
Yeah. It was. Whew.
You remembered me though when I came back in 2009.
Yeah. No, I remembered you.
It was like, hey, party time.
I remember chatty people.
You said that with a little disdain.
No, I remember chatty people. It's not a bad thing. I remember the people who talked to me that, provide me some respite throughout the day.
I was proud of making friends with Ian at the time, because for me, it's always been 100 times more difficult to befriend guys than girls.
I was proud of,
What were you proud of?
Not hating a person immediately.
Oh, thanks, Ian. But that's basically how it happened. And the rest semi-history. We get to early 2010. The NWC Grey comes in.
Yep.
I barely can afford it. We giggle like schoolgirls with it, and we bonded over things like that.
That was fun.
That was fun. It wasn't always horrible with us, Ian.
No.
We're like a married couple looking back right before signing divorce papers. We're like, it wasn't always horrible.
Wasn't the worst.
It wasn't the worst thing. We had some good times.
Yeah, some good.
Honeymoon was fine. At Thoreau08, thoughts on Amazon abandoning the pre-order discount of video games?
So I figured I'd just touch on this because people have asked us about the Best Buy thing and the Amazon thing, and the GameStop one was quietly put down with a shotgun behind the barn like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, all these, all of these deal programs are gone.
Within like a year and a half, they all went bye.
There's no profit margin on a new game sale. No matter what anyone wants to tell you, there isn't. It's like $5, maybe. Once you factor in your shipping and all that shit, you're not making...
So now it's done, by the way. The Amazon pre-order discount's gone. Yeah. I think it ended on the 27th.
I thought it was the 28th. So, yeah. For games delivered today. So...
Oh, for pre-order in the future, like Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. Damn it, I missed it. Fuck.
So...
Really?
this is not surprising. It surprises me not at all. 20% off a pre-order.
I missed it.
That's all the profit and then some. Plus, Amazon gives you free 2-day shipping. That's loss. GameStop doing what was theirs? It was like the $60 for 3 months, and you could exchange used games as much as you wanted, and then you got to keep a game at the end of the 3 months. We talked
Like
about
a rental
it.
thing, kind of.
Yeah, that's also a losing proposition. That was GameStop.
That was GameStop. They stopped that too.
And then Best Buy was, I think it was also like a 20%.
Well, the GameStop
off.
was a used one where you bought it, right?
That was GameStop. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And
You didn't worry about the yesterday. I could have bought Smash. I was going to buy Smash anyway.
I'm sorry.
Manual now this. Or sorry, go on.
Making the hands. And then Best Buy's is done. It was a nice way to, I guess, try to get people into these things, try to get, the new game sales in general, physical sales are faltering, I think, on the AAA releases. The smaller indie releases are doing great. You look at stuff like limited run games, and they're doing well. There it is. They seem to be doing well with their releases, but I don't think the AAA games are doing well physical wise at stores. So I think this was an attempt to make sure that those sold. But like I said, with the loss in profits, it just doesn't make any sense. And as soon as Best Buy cut theirs out, which I think we touched on a little bit, I even said I don't think Amazon will be far behind because there's no reason for them to keep it
there's
anymore.
no more advantage.
They brought it on as a way to bring people into Prime. It worked. Had no one else done anything, I think Amazon probably would have cut that sooner. But then Best Buy wanted to compete with it, so they brought on their program, which basically locked in Amazon keeping that 20%.
Yeah. They bled them. Amazon bled them dry.
Yeah.
Basically.
So Best Buy had to get out. GameStop did their stupid thing because GameStop's always got to try to do a stupid thing. And
What was GameStop's power pass for everything?
And once Best Buy dropped it, Amazon didn't need to do it anymore, so they're done. I think Amazon's thing now is like you pre-order and you get some sort of like a credit for a future use.
Okay,
so
that's not terrible.
you still get a thing. You still get a thing.
Well,
Amazon
GameStop sells a Power Up Rewards program, right? You still get points.
Yeah, that's totally different than what they were doing, though.
Okay.
So yeah, it's all changing. It's all done. It was obviously just a marketing blitz ploy thing to get people to do Prime, and they fucked up Best Buy, and it worked. I mean, honestly, for Amazon, it probably worked as planned. I don't think that was something that they were going to do forever, and like I said, it probably would have lasted for a lot shorter period of time if Best Buy hadn't jumped on and tried to do a plan like they did.
Sure. I'm starving, Ian. I wish I had a ready-to-make meal that's both healthy and yummy all at the same time.
Well, then let me tell you about Flex Pro Meals, Pat.
Okay.
Flex Pro Meals is a meal delivery company that sends healthy pre-made meals to your doorstep. Their goal isn't to give you salad, but epic recipes, entrees you may have grown up on that they make healthier versions of. Eating healthy is a lifestyle change, not a 2-week gimmick. So they're going to go the extra mile, give you the most value with realistic meal options at a good price. They have weight loss fat trimmer plans for about $8.50 a meal and lean muscle larger portion plans for about $11 a meal. Some of the most popular meal entries they have are smoked brisket mac, game day chili, breakfast burrito, chicken Alfredo, and the list goes on.
So they've sent us meals.
Yes.
Lots of meals.
Yes.
Thanks, Flex Pro Meals. Mm-hmm. They are delicious.
Oh, they're real good.
They have stuff from like, just steak and some veggies, so high protein, low carbs. But hey, they had like the buffalo bowl mix where it's just a huge chunk of buffalo meat and a bunch of nice rice and some cheese in there. Everything that I've eaten had at least 35, 40 grams of protein.
I had chicken lo mein. That was
delicious,
fantastic.
Yeah.
I had a
street tacos, a little bowl street taco meal.
I had a what they called a voodoo poor boy, but it was a bowl of
oh, that was good. It had
chicken sausage
and sausage,
and rice and a spicy sauce. Oh, it was tasty.
So what they do is they make everything fresh, then they flash freeze it. So that's the second best thing to fresh. It tastes fresh. So what you do is they send it to your home. It's freeze dried. You put it in your freezer.
Not freeze dried.
What's that?
Not freeze dried.
Dry freeze.
Flash freezed with dry ice.
Dry ice. Yes, I got it right. So they'll do that, and then you can thaw it out. Once you thaw it out, microwave it. There's no like shitty preservatives. There's not a lot of sodium that they throw in there, like with regular frozen meals. It's the best thing to right out of like the oven to me, and it's delicious. I'm gonna have one literally right after we record this. I'm gonna go have one.
That's right.
So you get 20% off
your first order.
Yeah, use code CU Podcast when you visit flexpromeals.com at checkout. That's 20% off, and there's options for 5 days at a time. 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 7 days a week. You can choose the specific meals you want. You can check the quantity of each specific meals, and there's different offerings each week. And you can say, hey, deliver it every week, deliver it every other week, whatever. It's up to your schedule how many meals you want per week, so you're not locked in. Again, 20% off your first order of delicious meals. Go to flexpromeals.com, enter code CU Podcast. It's yummy. Ian asks, that's gonna be a fun topic.
I'm gonna ask, how often do you guys talk to each other outside of the podcast, and consequently, how has this affected your friendship? I've had friends who asked if I wanted to do a podcast, and I'm afraid it could ruin friendships.
Oh, this is a light topic.
Yeah.
This can get fun in the comments section. How often do I talk to Ian outside of the podcast, or I guess podcast business?
Depends. Twice a week, 3 times a week.
Outside of the podcast? 3 times a week? No.
Twice.
Like, once.
Yeah, once.
Once
a week.
Once when Ian actually takes my calls or returns them.
I don't take anyone's calls.
I call Ian about 9 times more than he calls me. I don't think you can dispute that.
No, I can't. I can't.
So it's on Ian if he's going to say I don't try to talk to him.
I wouldn't say that.
I think it's interesting just because when I met Ian 10 years ago, then we'll just say 9 when I moved here, I was looking to establish, people I knew besides people I knew that were here already, obviously. So Ian he was a nice guy. We'll say Ian 1.0. This is 2.0. He was a nice guy, but it was almost not necessity. I was sort of like, oh, let's see what's out here. I was going out of my way probably to try to meet more people.
Yeah.
I used to hang out with like people in fucking PB. I don't think I told you about when I first moved here.
I knew that. Yeah.
A few people. I used to go to like fucking Sunday brunches and with a couple of girls, and then there'd be these asshole bro guys. And within a couple weeks, I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah. No, I know.
I'm not fucking 20 years old. I mean, when I was 29, I looked like I was 20 years old, but I didn't want any part of that.
Yeah.
So
no, rough.
I tried different things, and trying different things was befriending, a strange shop runner.
Shopkeep.
Shopkeep. It's like in a Final Fantasy game. So it's weird because we bonded over obviously video games because that's what we had in common before we knew we loved Bloodsport and things of that nature.
Yes.
So we went to the swap meet. Ian hated that. Fine. NWC thing was fine. Ian, he's climbing the Luna ladder, so to speak, along the way. It's working out. But I used to talk to Ian. We hung out, I'd say rarely when I first moved here. It wasn't that often. It wasn't like a thing we made. We never went out to eat together.
No.
So the way we spoke was when I would visit him in the shop, and on Voltaire Street. And
yes.
we go and we would chat. Like maybe once a week I would stop. And you'd say like once a week, once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Something like that. I wasn't bothered.
Right.
I wasn't a lunatic bothering him every day.
No, thank goodness.
I remember we talked one time in the shop about how these weird Game Boy box collectors were coming onto the scene in like 2010 and 11. We had that conversation. Remember that? Remember that one guy? Yeah. So we
Balloon Kid.
Yes. So Ian and I have we are personality wise and some beliefs wise very far apart when it comes to like game collecting though, and like that scene we're pretty fucking close.
Yeah.
When it comes to that.
Yeah.
We're married to each other when it comes to that. So when we talked about pop culture things and movies, new game stuff and retro games, we would do it in the shop, and so that conversation, our hangouts sort of became the podcast. So it's not like we are talking less now because of the podcast. We've sort of shifted.
The podcast turned into the hangout turned into the podcast.
It was a professional hangout, is what it became.
Yeah,
so to speak. You are now privy to our conversations.
That's essentially what happened. The podcast, because I don't think it's on here as a Q&A, but it was, I think someone mentioned how the podcast come about.
The memories, maybe?
Yeah, but it was sort of, I remember joking with Pat the one day because I tuned into one of his. He used to do like the Google Hangouts every once in a while.
It wasn't. It was Ustream.
Yeah, it was a Ustream, and he was going on like 3 hours, and I was watching it. I had just like tuned in, and it was
like 2010.
It was raw and uncut, and he's just like grabbing shit off of his desk and talking about it, and it was miserable. And
They were 3 hours first of all. They're probably like 2 hours.
No, I remember watching this.
You watched one?
This specific one. I mean, there was a timer in the corner, Pat. It's like 3 hours live
on like a Saturday.
Yeah,
I had my shitty day job. I was so stressed. He knew how stressed I was.
I was. So I had said to him, I said, you should really do like a podcast structure. I said, a podcast, get yourself on topic. And then like a year later, he was like, hey, how about a podcast? And I was
I don't
like,
remember you
okay.
ever saying podcast structure.
No,
You might have said structure.
I suggested, I didn't put myself in there. I'm not saying I came up with the idea. I just said, you should think about
A structure,
a podcast
and I said,
structure
good
or
idea,
something.
or I said,
oh, you were like, yeah, that's a good idea. And we never said anything. I mean, that was that.
well, my mind back then, I was
Yeah.
thinking of 1,000 things at one time.
So anyways, that's that. In terms of me hanging out, Pat and I hanging out and the friendship and things, I don't actually hang out with many people. I'm a homebody these days. Left to my own devices, I'm not calling or texting or talking to anyone. That's partially a lie.
Let's be a little honest here, Ian.
Okay.
There's hangouts that have happened at your place that I never heard about.
Well, sure.
Until after the fact.
Sure.
In the past.
That's true. I'm just saying I'm not.
I'm not blaming you for it, but I'm saying it's happened.
Oh, but I'm just saying I'm not overly social either these days. I have my friends, and
you have a close knit group of like what, 4 or 5 people.
Yeah, and I'll leave my house about once a week to go see them. I usually go and hang out in North Park or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, that's where they live.
Oh.
That's where like Audrey and Alan and John and all of them live. So every once in a while I'll go out. I usually need one good night out a week, but most of the time I'm happy just sitting at home.
Okay.
So
okay.
Yeah, but this is what the hangout became. You're looking at it.
So this could have been. So if it wasn't for the podcast, there's a chance me and Ian would never talked anymore. Well, like, there's an outside shot.
No.
Outside shot. I'm not saying we like each other enough outside of video games where we probably could have talked to each other. But the proximity of the game stores helped.
Did.
Especially Voltaire, but when it went to Newport Street, that helped.
It did too, because you used to stop in a lot going to or coming from dinner.
Places.
Yeah, like
dinner. That's right. We used to drive Ian home.
Yeah, like coming back from
with Frank. We used to work on Fridays.
Coming back from Harp.
We used to bring home Ian like 3 days a month. We drive back with him.
Yeah,
which helped him out.
So that being said, yeah, moving the store from Ocean Beach to Chula Vista, proximity played a huge role in a lot of that.
Even though we live 5-10 minutes from each other.
Yeah, we do.
But that's different. I'm afraid of Spike. Absolutely. But I would say this: podcast, in terms of it ruining a friendship. I guess if ego gets in the way and one person has to be the dominant force on the air. Me and Ian developed relatively quickly a rapport on the podcast.
Yeah.
That where not one is more dominant than the other when it comes to it.
No,
I think
the dynamic emerged. The dynamic emerged rather naturally, rather quickly, and I think that if you go back to
our talks in the shop,
and what you had said about basically that just evolving into the podcast and that becoming the hangout,
that was a pilot test.
It was very natural. We had already basically discovered our rapport.
Sure.
So it translated easy. If you're already friends with that person and you can talk to that person naturally and you already have a good conversation, if you find yourself hanging out with that person and things don't devolve to watching TV or playing video games, but you're just sitting around talking with that person, do you go out and eat with that person and chat, then that's probably a person you can do a podcast with.
Yeah, it's not just to say, well, we both like the same topic, let's do a podcast. That might not work out.
That doesn't work.
No.
But do you both sit around and have good discussions? Do you leave that discussion feeling like, oh, that was a good time? Then, yeah, you can probably do it.
Sure. So we're not friends, is what we're trying to say.
No, we hate each other.
At Hal11K asks, what current games do you think will become retro classics in the next 20 years? This is a good time for you, Ian. Will you be working at Luna Video Games 20 years from now?
Probably not. So I've been thinking about it and looking at like just seeing what's been really popular online and what keeps being played, talked about what is what's popular. I think some games that are going to be considered retro classics in the future. I think Dark Souls is going to be. It's hard. It doesn't hold your hand. Whether you like that or hate that doesn't really matter. I think that's going to. I think it has all the stuff that is going to make it looked. I think there's going to be a lot of people who look back on that fondly in the future.
Is that how you're defining retro? People looking back on it fondly?
Well,
or are they going to go back and actually play it?
I think they're going to go back and actually play it. Yeah, I think there could be more, but I think Dark Souls 1, even if you eliminate the online, I think it's going to have that appeal, not just as sort of the first in this genre of 3D open space area, extra hard action games. It's, sort of a new type. It's sort of the genesis of that. And I think people are going to go back to that and look at that, and they're going to play that. I think as far as RPGs go, I think Persona series, especially Persona 5 and probably Final Fantasy 15, which has been, without a doubt, I think the biggest home run that series has had in a long time. I think in the future, that's going to be a retro classic. I would say probably something like Halo 3. That's going to be a big one. I'm trying to think of what else. God of War will probably be something that's looked at. I mean, a lot of these big name action games that you can pick up and play quickly.
I go back to my point about retro games ending at a certain point in time. We discussed that, the pros and cons of that argument of me thinking it died with the Dreamcast in terms of consideration. But is it retro gaming if you're playing the same game that keeps getting re-released or keeps getting adapted to a newer console? Would that be considered retro gaming? If a game's either a remake or like the Halo 2 HD version, that things of that nature, is it still, or the Halo they did HD, whatever, both, is it still retro gaming at that point?
Yeah, I mean, I think so.
You think so? Even if the
well, I mean, you can just play the original version.
But I'm saying no one's gonna be playing. I can't picture people getting a working 360 30 years from now and playing these games on them. Like they'll be playing them on a newer sort of version digitally at that point.
People still come in and buy regular Xboxes and copies of Halo 2.
Okay.
So
I was gonna say it's gonna work for some of these games. It's not gonna work for all of them.
I mean, maybe not, but if there's physical copies and physical systems out there, people are going to do it.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think
you consider it retro gaming
if it's old, it's retro.
Okay.
So in 20 years, everything that we're playing now is going to be retro to the kids who are growing up with it.
Okay.
So, I mean, Breath of the Wild, I think would obviously, I mean, any Zelda is, I mean, because whatever they're playing then, Breath of the Wild is going to look primitive, and it's going to be old.
You think it'll look primitive 20 years from now?
Yes.
You don't think we're at diminishing returns for graphics yet?
Depends. I mean, back then we said that we were all the generation that said we're never going to fill up a 1 gigabyte hard drive.
No, but we can always imagine something looking better looking. We never played an Atari game saying it's not going to look better than this. No one said that, Ian. I mean, they announced these $2,000 graphic cards that come out, $1,000 graphics card, and it's like, well, yeah, it looks cool, but now it's like, wow, you can see the reflection of the guy in the fucking puddle on the ground. That's the difference.
Hello, no one is available to take your call. Please.
That was creepy as hell.
That was.
All right, we have a ghost caller.
Anyways, no, I think it's.
You see what I'm saying, though?
I don't.
That's creepy. Sorry. Go on, Ian.
I don't. And I'll go back to the question and say that this is perhaps what drives me the most nuts about you. You are short-sighted, I think, when it comes to this, and you are too
is a callback?
And you are too dismissive of modern gaming. We may be old, but the people who are playing it are not. And I think that we are falling victim to the exact same stuff that some of our yes,
Pat is
things
short-sighted.
you are short. Yes. I think that things can progress and continue to improve in ways that we don't know yet, just like things that we were not expecting to come to fruition.
All right, Ian, what's past photorealism when it comes to games? What is past that graphically?
Don't know. Holographic.
Okay, so when they're playing holographic games in 20 years, when the photorealism games that we have right now, when they'll be looked at as primitive.
We're not at photorealism.
We are fucking close. We are so close. You don't think we're close?
I don't know.
You see the Cyberpunk game? You see those graphics? You're gonna be like, 20 years from now, you're gonna say that looks primitive? Really?
Right. So we're hammering away on the fact that I said it's gonna look outdated. Truth be told, whatever we're doing in that game is going to seem primitive to what they're playing in 20 years. What I'm saying is retro does not have to just mean games that came out in the 80s or 90s. Retro is going to be whatever is old to the people who are in 20 years. So all they're asking is, what games do you think will be retro classics in the next 20 years? 20 years from now,
well, maybe I disagree with the question then.
You can't disagree.
I can disagree with the question.
What games?
It was directed to you. Your answer might be fun. I might disagree with it.
Well, I mean, it was directed to both of us.
No, not necessarily.
No, I mean, we just decided that you were asking the question. I mean, this one was actually just replying to you, in terms of how the questions
because I asked for the podcast.
I think Final Fantasy 15 is going to be well remembered.
We're in Snippy now. We're getting Snippy on the 5th anniversary. That's why people like us.
I also think that stuff like Persona is going to be fondly remembered.
I think we're going to get to the point where we're going to have divisions of retro then. We're going to have like the Platinum era from the 70s, Golden era, Silver. But once you get to, I said, that arcade knockoff point, especially when you get to the PS2 era, when the games start progressing, it's like, well, PS2 and PS3, yeah, there's a difference. PS3 to PS4, there's almost a difference in how these games look. PS4 to PS5, yeah, I guess it's an upgrade. I mean, we're there. We're fucking there when it comes to this stuff.
Well, we're not talking in aesthetic. We're talking in age.
Okay, okay, fine. I'll just say, okay. Aesthetic versus age, okay. Classic games versus retro games, all right.
All right, now we're on to a whole list of memories here.
Memories like the ones we used to know. See, you should have said you're annoyed by my singing. Most of all.
I just deal with your singing.
You deal with it, you love it. All right, so this are some CU podcast memories. Both, we'll go to the Patreon ones first. I have access to that. And then we'll talk about other ones that you guys submitted on the CU podcast memories hashtag. It's been a lot going on here.
Singing in the shower is something special.
Oh, Norm loves it. I mean, that's why I haven't seen Norm this year. I think he's the reason why. I'm the reason why he does.
Norm's the reason why he's doing less conventions this year. Yeah, or you're the reason why Norm's doing less conventions because of your singing.
Yes, that's why. I think so. So let's see some of the comments from people here. Whoops! Why did I just click off here? Ian, what is jumping out at you as if aliens came down to Earth and they said, we want to know about the CU podcast that's been beamed to us across the galaxy, give us like 3 or 4 segments that define the CU podcast. What would it be?
Retro RVGS or Retro VGS, also Coleco Chameleon.
The whole saga, the whole 5-video saga. The whole that's like a 3-hour Blu-ray, basically.
Yeah. So that whole thing, the whole Tim Atwood stuff, obviously.
Ninja Turtles, Michael Bay announcement.
Yeah, the whole Michael Bay stuff back when I was far more fiery.
You're still fiery to an extent. We both slow down with our age.
Yeah, I'm not nearly as whiny anymore. People getting mad at me for being mad at people like PewDiePie.
Well, people were pissed at me more. That's when you were on the podcast.
Yeah.
For 5 months.
Yeah, whatever. He's a fucking chump.
Well, someone's gonna do a 50-minute video, Ian.
It's all right.
Let's. We'll get to these. We'll forget. Jacob says, "Little bitch."
Yeah, little bitch is always a good one. I still have a perler bead art hanging in my house that someone made me. It says little bitch.
Past Twitter post the day before Ian's return saying something bad happened, then fireworks and chanting. Come on, Ian. You got to give it up for me. I went all out in the post-production on that. Come on.
Post-production was fine. I still wish you hadn't told people that I was like dying or something like that.
I did not.
No,
say
everyone
you were dying.
thought I was dying.
I said I have some news about Ian. and you know, that's all. I kept it vague. And it was 20. It was less than 20. He was actually pissed at me. I remember you being pissed.
Yeah, I was upset. It was sad.
It was insane. I was like, 16 hours of people wondering. I mean, God, it's all about drama. Ty says the different amounts of facial hair you both have had.
I've had a lot of different amounts of facial hair
and hair
and head hair. Yeah,
I was all long hair when we started.
I was short when we started.
Also, when Pat said my real name for the first time on the podcast, called me good guy. Aw.
My
man from Sean.
My man.
When you guys covered the backlash against Denny's remaking retro Atari games.
Who? Oh, Denny's. Oh, asteroids.
People were either pissed or pretending to be pissed about that. Ian's return chanting Ian. The That's It fruit spots, top notch. Come back to us, That's It fruit.
Please, That's It. Come back to us. I hope we weren't the reason why our guy got fired, because, boy, we got a lot of fruit bars.
The Ian Stalker ranch dressing parts 1 and 2. Is something you want to say about part 3?
Yeah, part 3 is probably not ever going to happen. Just going to say it right now. It's not fun. The first 2 parts of the story were, you know, amusing. The third part's just weird and creepy. And
with the letter in the DS case.
Yeah, there's a letter that he wrote me, and it's there's a lot of unlayers to pack. There's a lot of layers to unpack.
Lots of ins, lots of outs.
A lot of ins, lots of outs, and I just don't really feel like going back to it.
You don't want to re-experience it?
Yeah. I mean, I really didn't want to re-experience a lot of that story. I mean, as funny as it is, it really wasn't a great time. And I've learned that you get through things by laughing, and I've told the first part of that story a lot. But really, once you get to part 3, when I've told the story in the past, I've never really done the part 3, and I kind of let it slip when I was telling part 2 that, you know, there was that letter, and I really should have just, whatever.
You should have mentioned the letter.
You
should have mentioned there's a part 3.
Yeah, because there really isn't. It's like 5 minutes, and it's just weird, and basically...
It's anticlimactic?
Yeah. It's essentially just like a breakup letter. It's him being like, okay, I'm not going to be friends with you anymore, even though we weren't really friends. And a lot of things are said in there that are weird. And that's about it. That's about it. And we're just not doing it. We're not doing it. The end. The end. It's
kind of like the Spider-Man 3 of the trilogy. It's a lot of build-up, very disappointing.
Yeah, the payoff isn't great. Trust me, you're not really missing anything. Okay. It's just, that's it. That's the end of it.
All right, then. Kate says, I know everyone is saying it, but the ranch dressing story has brought me many a laugh when I was down. Ian's storytelling prowess really shines, and it really greatly amuses me to see Pat doubled over with laughter.
And I'm glad. I have no regrets about the first 2 parts. I just should not have mentioned the third part.
I really enjoyed Pat's ghost stories. I would love to hear more, and Ian's reaction was amusing. Yes, because Ian called me basically a fucking idiot.
Ghosts are dumb. They don't exist.
Yes.
The end.
Even though his family have probably seen him, other people in my family.
Bonnie believes in ghosts.
But we're all fucking idiots. All of us are. Ian's the smart one in the group. Okay. Most recently, Pat's going Jersey on the Jerks doing Rock Band at 2:30 a.m. Yeah. Another one. I really like the way both you and Ian especially always talk about controversial topics with a good amount of nuance and trying to see things from both perspectives. Doesn't always work out. You're not afraid to have opinions, of course, but you try not to pass judgment unless you know for sure that you have the entire picture.
It's not going to work every time, but, you know, we got to try.
The nuance is needed in today's climate. Absolutely, where flaming and jumping to conclusions is the norm, not our norm, the norm. I added that. So that's something I really appreciate. The fact that I trust what you guys say to be our earnest opinions. Yes.
Who was that?
This was Emil.
Well, thank you, Emil.
Danny Sullivan's Indie Heat, yes, the game that we went from an $8 game to a $30 game because of us. I can say that.
I'll blame us on that one.
JD Combs, I got a few favorites. I started following you guys in late 2015, early 2016. I really love the dynamic between the two of you. Ian was out for so long, could tell it just didn't feel the same. Yeah, I wanted to die. It was rough. I don't blame Ian for that. I had to get through it, or else the podcast would have ended. But it was right after the release. I'm not saying pity, but it was right after the release of my book. I was already exhausted, and then it was like the worst timing ever. I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's do it. And I remember asking Ian, can you do it? Can you do it? And he's like, I'm feeling bad. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
But I was like, fuck. I had to drag myself to the table and mumble for 2 hours by myself. But it kind of worked, and Ian got back there, and he's better now. Now he's like, oh, he's good now.
No, I'm good.
You can poke that Billy, and before it would kill you, now it's okay.
Yeah, I'm all right.
The witty banter back and forth, the occasional annoyance with each other, occasional annoyance. You both have fresh perspectives that sometimes are two different sides of the same coin, giving a well-rounded view. Thanks for all you guys do. I'm excited for more Let's Plays. That's not happening, but the marathon will. And of course, the letter, which we talked about. Congrats from Danny. Daniel Greenberg. As someone who produces a Let's Play program, I'd love to hear your thoughts, experiences, challenges regarding the Let's Play phase. Well, it sucked because that's when Ian first got hurt.
Yeah.
So it kind of never got off the ground.
And I was sick leading up to it. Like, I was sick in all the Let's Plays we did. I just didn't realize what was going on. But I felt like shit in all of those. And it shows. I was...
Well, you hear it at least.
Yeah, I was miserable during those. And yeah, it just... It was one of those things where it was kind of a decent idea. It could have been fun. I got sick, and by the time I wasn't sick anymore and we got back into the role of this, there was just no time for anything else. And yeah, it blew up in launch.
Oh, there you go. Now we'll go to the podcast memories from Twitter. Listening to Pat talk about his haunted house while at my night job all alone. I was paranoid every Monday noise like the building AC turning on. Also, Pat's TV buying woes. I forgot about that. And Ian's little bitch story right up there. My TV fucking rant. That's right. Kate,
what was the TV thing again? It was the...
I bought the refurbished one. I tried to
right.
return it. It was broke. It was a whole fucking thing.
Yes. Oh, the packing, the UPS issues.
Guy, yes. Giving Joel Austin... This is from Kate. Giving Joel Austin a well-deserved roasting after Hurricane Harvey. That piece of shit.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
And recognizing the work of the great Mattress Mac. Cool.
Oh, he just held a reunion party for all the people who sheltered.
That's
at
a good
store.
guy. Not some fucking
That's awesome.
fake fucking Christian. People say, oh, he's a real Christian. How do you decide? He's not a fucking Christian according to the Bible. Eat me.
I tasted his penis and it didn't taste like Christian.
Yeah, that's right. You can quote me on that.
That's right.
At Best Buy Rick, Coleco Chameleon controversy. So that was sort of the zenith of the CU. I would say the CU podcast is not as popular as what it was 2.5 years ago.
Oh, sure.
Because we got a lot of exposure with that. It was Vice, Motherboard, a website, Atari Age forums, which we love you guys there.
Yep.
Fortunately, so this is what I'm going to say about the Retro VGS / Coleco Chameleon thing. If we can encapsulate what that was to us and what was happening. That was a moment in time where I think retro gaming was hitting that point where I think it was that, right, now everyone's going to try to capitalize on this commercially as much as possible. That was before I think all these all-in-one systems were getting more popular. That was before the NES Classic Edition. That was before. There's way more products now. There was products then too, but now we're at the point where now it's almost too many of them. There's too many clones out there.
Right.
And this was a point in time where you were getting a lot of these ideas where people want to capitalize on it. So Ian and I think, did our best to try to steer people away from what we thought were bad ideas. And this to me was the king of the bad idea.
Yeah, this was when the retro VGS came around, it was dead in the water.
And that was like summer 2015.
That was quick.
Yeah.
That was dead pretty quick, and squashed pretty quickly. The Chameleon with the Coleco name.
That was a few months later. It was like later in 2016.
That had more steam behind it because of the name and because a couple of websites.
All websites regurgitated the press release.
That's what I'm saying. But it started with a few regurgitated that press release, and it started to steamroll a little bit.
Yes, and so me and Ian took it upon ourselves, and we were one of the only fucking people to do that. I'm not patting us on the back, but I'll get into why that annoyed me. We were the only ones to see the dangers of that, of using a dead brand with a new company that was not that original company,
right,
using that for gain. How dangerous that was, and how that could be a start of a dangerous precedent, in which we've seen with the Atari BCS, where they kind of are, there's an association with Atari, but they're not the Atari of old. But this was totally divorced from that, with someone I even knew personally who was doing this project, where I was dead set against it. And we had to let the truth be known about it, regardless of whatever fucking collateral damage eventually came to Ian, and of course to me in early 2016 while Ian was sick. Well, no, you weren't sick then. You were just gone for that. No, that's right.
No, I was sick.
You were sick then.
Yeah, we're talking early 2017.
Early 2017 it was?
Yes.
I thought it was early 2016.
I got sick in October of 2016.
Oh, you were out for a part of it. Oh no, when I did the video when they announced it, you were around.
Oh yeah,
you were around. Okay,
yeah,
you weren't saying you were around.
My bad.
But what happened was, I think the community really the retro gaming community really wanted a product like this for whatever reason. They wanted, we want a new retro gaming system. And I think some people got misguided by it. Some YouTubers turned a blind eye to it, unfortunately, that I'm still dealing with blowback to this day and one for another because of that, because they didn't see how bad this could get before it got awful. And so, we weren't the judge, jury, and executioner. We were just the messengers of this being a bad product even before it was revealed to be the hoax.
So now everyone knows this stuff. So it's the Atari VCS thing. You're just gonna sink or swim. But a lot of people who I think a lot of people learn their lesson through the Coleco Chameleon. A lot of the people who wanted something like this, and I even understand I even understood to a degree at the point wanting something like that, but it just didn't work. And I think a lot of those people then saw that with the VCS, and it was more or less with the VCS, it's a fool and his money will soon be parted. There's not much you can say on that. But at that point in time, it was a very unique thing, and controversy and stories like that bring listeners. It's not going to sustain them forever, though. They have to enjoy the rest of the podcast. So that was certainly, I think, where we had really, really peaked with our popularity. That was easily when we were most popular. That was also when I was recognized probably the most. I was recognized
at the shop.
No, at the shop, I'm probably recognized most now, like multiple times a day. But out, like,
hey, you're the chameleon guy?
I would be. No, people would recognize me and be like, "Oh, you do that podcast? I saw you with the." That's how people would recognize me. They'd recognize me from the Coleco Chameleon stuff.
I'm going to say this, and I don't know if this is going to be a controversial thing I'm going to say or not.
Oh boy, you're going to say something.
I would hope that the way we treated the situation rubbed off on others in the community to scrutinize these projects that come about. And I think I've seen it a little bit from this experience where people don't want to get ahead of themselves and proclaim something to be the second coming before it comes out. You hope. Because we were on a fucking lonely island back then. We definitely were for about 6 months. And then once we espouse it, everyone's like, yeah, this is a scam. It's like, where the fuck were you 5 months, the 5 previous months? Where were you? I don't know, Ian. I don't know where they were because you know what? They weren't around. So, all right. All right. This is from at
Jimmy Reed.
Jimmy.
Remember when you got the gummy penises?
I vaguely remember that.
I very much remember that. Well, at the time you covered the entire Chameleon and Tim Atwood stories. Those were great. Thank you.
Tim Atwood, we still owe him a few sandwiches.
Yes.
Tim Atwood, I got to visit you at some point.
That was a good time. And the gummy penises came in one of the boxes that we got. Yeah. Yeah, they came.
If you want something to discuss, I'd like to know why I stopped covering wrestling topics. I'm tired of it. They always did the worst. It was like the worst things we ever talked about. People don't give a shit about us talking about comic books specifically, and then wrestling. It just didn't work.
I love talking wrestling when I'm interested in wrestling. Problem is, I'm so sporadically interested in wrestling. I have to find the time for it. 1, 2. In this current climate, I just have no interest in watching what's on Raw. I have a tough time making the time for NXT. It's not that I don't like it. I just have to be picky and choosy about when I watch it. And yeah, no one else cares. The people who like our takes on wrestling really do, and I appreciate that. But it doesn't.
Plus we go on too long. The last time we talked about WrestleMania for a half hour.
We obviously enjoy talking about it way too fucking much.
When we do, we analyze it too much. Then the writers analyze it. We analyze it more than they do, and that's probably the problem.
Yeah, so that's why.
This is from finishing my coffee. When Ian returned from his medical sabbatical, I really thought he wasn't coming back for a minute. Then Pat played the epic Ian march.
Yeah. Once again, kudos to Pat and his post-production.
Are you going to say, fuck you, Pat, for tricking people?
No.
My man from QTA's podcast. Still hurts my laughing heart. Noah's done the ring from the Star Trek 3, which was a really good movie, actually, but that teaser sucked balls. That teaser.
And from Deadass is my boss, the all-time great, the GOAT,
The goat. Yes, right.
The
That's
Q&A goat.
The Q&A goat.
The goat of the past 5 years. We'll give it to you. The Zack Snyder rants from you two have always brought me on parallel
Really
levels
from
of
Ian
joy.
more than me.
This even goes. Thank you. This even goes back to the very first CU podcast when you contemplated thoughts on Batman v Superman. Keep up the great work, dudes. You're both a gift to the world. Well, thank you.
Gift to the world.
That's a bit much.
I know you were warning from the beginning how bad it was going to be because you hated Zack Snyder even from the beginning.
Yeah. Yep. Can't stand the guy. I don't have those fiery rants in me anymore. If I look back on 5 years ago to now, the thing that I just don't have
The energy
is
to be angry.
I just don't have the energy to be that angry about shit anymore. And I think the big thing is, like, I look at some of this recent bullshit with, say, like, Thundercats or She-Ra, and then I look back at, you know, some of the stuff like Batman versus Superman. And in my head, I can do all the gymnastics. And yeah, I fucking can't stand Zack Snyder. I think the guy's a fucking douchebag, and I think his ideas for movies, his darkness, his wanting, you know, there to be prison rape in Batman, yeah, it sucks, and there's a reason to get upset about it. But I can't be one of those people who finds reasons to get mad at all that bullshit anymore. I can't. That said, Zack Snyder's, I mean, he's fucking awful. But I can't. Look,
But he's out of the limelight now. He's not involved in the DC stuff anymore.
But look, if you want to go see fucking chapped lip Ninja Turtles, fine. Just go see them. That's fine. If you want to love your Zack Snyder fucking shit movies, that's fine. It's fine. It is. I don't care. I don't care. And I'm going to go and watch the new She-Ra cartoon because I think it looks fine. And if you are going to get that worked up about it, don't get worked up about it. Go pet a fucking dog. Do something better with your time.
That's what we're talking about with Andre recently about the anger and stuff. It's just worn him out. All the anger.
It has.
Stuff.
It's worn me out, and I'm tired. I'm tired, and it's preventing. I can't get that angry anymore. I just can't.
You're also 5 years older. You're in your late 30s now.
Yeah, 36. 36. Yep. It's not. It's
36 and a big half.
30. Well, no, I'm not a big half.
Oh, that's right. For some reason, I'm thinking it's July. For some reason, my head is all fucked up.
No, I just turned 36. I got a full year ahead of me.
Closer to 40.
I consider 34, 35, and 36 your mid-30s.
You got one more year left in the mids.
Yeah, one more left in the mids.
One more left in the mids.
So that's not a bad way to end the memories there.
What, you getting older and grayer? Or Zack Snyder?
No, ending it on some Zack Snyder.
Yeah, I guess we go full circle back to Zack Snyder and not worrying about. I mean, there's more things to be concerned about in the world versus escapism and how badly. I mean, I watched. For example, the Red Letter Media Mr. Plinkett Last Jedi review came out this morning. I watched it. It was entertaining as always, but it's still not the same as when you watch the prequel ones. It's sort of like the sort of like funny critique anger part it's not gotten old, but we're used to it at this point.
Right.
It's sort of like, yeah, we know it's fun. You know, it's still fun, but you know, we're used to it. So there's only so many times Ian can complain about Zack Snyder before he gets sick.
Yeah,
5 years later, Zack Snyder, hey, we won't buy you a sandwich, but hey, you know, we'll play some Jenga together, maybe.
No, I'm not gonna kick him in the traffic, but I'm not gonna give him a hug. I mean, I'm just gonna walk by him.
You won't say, hey, Mr. Snyder, you know?
No. I'm just gonna walk by him calmly. So that's a lot of we made a lot of progress in this therapy session for the past 5 years.
Yeah, we have. Went from splinters my balls and my asshole and fuck off chop lips to, you know what, I'm just gonna walk past the guy.
Just fucking A.
We'll walk past certain YouTubers too when we see him. Now we don't you know, wish him ill will, maybe.
You know, still a lot of sewage pumps out there.
All right. Well, that was 5 years of a CU podcast. Thanks, everyone. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/CU podcast. Hey, if you might be watching this on Twitch right now, I might decide to stream this all together so you guys can experience the fun and magic. That might be a thing we might do in the future. We'll see.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. I think it's fun. Fun sounding.
Good one every now and then. Just like watching Mr. Rogers episodes or Bob Ross, you can relax watching me and Ian.
Yeah.
Yell at each other about the definition of a fucking retro game. Like, that's important.
It is.
And then
it's what brings you here.
Yes, and we'll be at we'll be at Portland in October. I'll be at 3 conventions in Retro World Expo, Video Game Con in Jersey, and in Arlington Retropalooza. Check out our T-shirt. teespring.com/CU shirt. Letters CU shirt.
Patreon.
No. All right. Any last words for this 130 something episode, 132 episodes, 5 years? Or just get some fish tacos?
No, I'm good. I'm done. We're good.
That's all we have left to say ever about anything. So thanks so much.
I have no more opinions.
No more. All we've
You're
decided,
welcome.
that's it. So play us out, keyboard cat. Boop-a-doop-bop.